Chapter 780. Yang Ping didn't expect Yamamoto Juro to kick the ball to him. Li Fan smiled. He held the Desert Eagle and fired a shot at the top of his head. The gunshot scared Yamamoto Juro so much that he kneeled on the ground and shivered. He didn't even dare to speak. "Do you think I'm stupid? Get up and bring us to the vault." Yamamoto Juro trembled as he kneeled there. He didn't dare to move. Li Fan gestured. Huang Lei, who was wearing Zhu Beiji's mask, immediately pulled the safety of the heavy machine gun. The sound scared Yamamoto Juro so much that he almost peed. "You only have one chance," Li Fan said. "The next time, you will be a dead man." This line sounded like a chinibyu, but Li Fan liked it very much. Our bank doesn't have any money. It's not 10 yet, and the money delivery person hasn't arrived yet." Yamamoto Juro was still stalling for time when Li Fan shot his foot. Blood and screams erupted together. Yamamoto Juro's foot was directly shot off. The power of the Desert Eagle wasn't a joke. This time, Yamamoto Juro was finally terrified. "Spare me, spare me." Seeing this scene, Yang Ping didn't know why, but he suddenly felt a little relieved. "You, go down as well." Li Fan felt that Yang Ping seemed to know something. When he shouted, Yang Ping was stunned again. "Why bring me along?" Yang Ping was about to cry. "Why bring me along? I'm just an ordinary employee." Li Fan couldn't be bothered with him. This kind of person looked shifty-eyed. One look and you can tell that he isn't a good person. Sun Qingchen and the devil incarnate were watching the door. They had already pulled down the shutter of the bank. Li Fan and Huang Lei, on the other hand, had already taken the elevator to the second basement floor of the bank with 2 bank employees. Inside, there was a huge vault where they kept all the gold and money they wanted. There are a total of 3 locks in the vault. Ling Tian spoke to Li Fan through the earpiece. "First, use the administrator's password and Yamamoto's fingerprint to open the first 2 locks." "Yes." Li Fan got the password from the trembling administrator and entered it on the touchpad of the first lock. The password was completely correct. The administrator was pointed at by a heavy machine gun, so he didn't dare to do anything. The first horizontal metal lock slowly pulled the mechanism and split into 2. He pointed the gun at Yamamoto's head. Yamamoto endured the pain and staggered to the lock. He opened the second lock with his bloody hand. There was one last request left, and it required the sector manager's voice. Li Fan looked at Honda, and Honda quickly shook his head. I can't. The person who makes the call must be the senior security officer. I only have the authority to open the second lock." In other words, the people in the bank could only open 2 locks themselves. The third lock was the responsibility of the people in charge of transporting the banknotes. In this case, the bank's own people wouldn't be able to steal it, so it was foolproof. Then the 2 of them are useless. Li Fan waved his hand. "Shoot them." "Yes, big brother." Huang Lei held the machine gun and looked like he was about to fire. Yang Ping was scared to the point of peeing. He directly knelt on the ground and begged, Don't kill me, I have the sector manager's recording." "What, Yang Ping, you damn Sheena, you actually..." Before Yamamoto could finish his words, Li Fan knocked him unconscious with the butt of the gun. "Where did you get the recording?" Li Fan asked Yang Ping, who was kneeling beside him. I once brought a client here to collect his stored diamonds. I secretly recorded it with my phone," Yang Ping said timidly. Li Fan and Huang Lei looked at each other and smiled. It seemed like this employee wasn't too honest. Yang Ping took out his phone and took out the recording. A sentence in Japanese came out. The voice-activated device on the third lock sensed the sound. It slowly opened, and the door of the vault slowly opened. Inside the vault, the golden light was so dazzling that Huang Lei was almost blinded. There was an unknown amount of gold in the vault. The trolleys were filled with at least a ton of gold bars. "We're rich." Huang Lei was almost drooling. With so many gold bars, they were definitely going to be rich. 3 more minutes. Ling Tian's voice came through the earpiece. 3 minutes later, the police will arrive and seal this place. Got it. Li Fan nodded. Load it. He gave the order, and the devil's incarnation followed him down. Together with Huang Lei, they began to pack the gold into the bag. Yang Ping hid at the side. When no one was looking, he secretly stuffed 2 pieces into his body. He looked at these stupid thieves and couldn't help but want to mock them. Too stupid, really too stupid. There were so many gold bars weighing more than a ton. How could they transport it? In the end, they were a bunch of robbers without any culture. Shortly after, a shocking scene unfolded before him. The man in the dragon mask used a metal chain to lock the 10 bags of gold bars together. Then, he forcefully lifted them up and walked out of the door. Yang Ping was dumbfounded. Was this still a human? The devil's incarnation and Huang Lei also took a lot of other banknotes, most of which were US dollars. They stuffed the banknotes into 2 or 3 canvas bags and happily carried them with them as they walked out together. Sun Qingchen stood upstairs and opened the passage to the back door. The group immediately left through the back door. There was a black van parked outside. The police sirens could be heard from afar. The few of them didn't dare to delay. They stuffed the gold bars into the van and immediately left. The van had a fake plate. After getting into the van, the few of them felt more at ease. However, the danger was not over yet. There were surveillance cameras at the entrance of the bank and the police cars were already near. The police even sent out a helicopter to circle in the sky. The moment the black van left, it was targeted by the helicopter. There must be something wrong with a car leaving the bank at this time. Huang Lei was in charge of driving. He saw from the rearview mirror that 2 police cars had started to follow them, and there was even a helicopter following them. Soon, the armed police would be dispatched, and they would have no way to escape. In China, robbing a bank is equivalent to seeking death. However, Li Fan and the others had already arranged a way to leave. Huang Lei drove the van and rushed into a nearby construction site under the siege of 2 police cars and helicopters. The construction site was filled with dust, and it was constantly floating. The helicopter's line of sight was blocked, and the 2 police cars rushed in. The van stopped at the side of the construction site and didn't move. It was like a sleeping beast. The 2 police cars stopped nearby, and a few policemen approached the van cautiously. The van was still parked there. It looked like it had broken down, but it also looked like it had surrendered and given up all resistance. The few policemen looked at each other and didn't know what was going on. Chapter 781. Jiang Nan was a rookie police officer who had just graduated from the police academy. He still had the immaturity and bravery of a rookie police officer, unlike some veteran police officers who were slippery. Jiang Nan's wish was to catch all the bad guys in the world. His master laughed at him for being childish, but he felt that this was the persistence of a police officer. If they, the police, could not uphold justice, then who could? Jiang Nan and his master went to the police station together. The 2 of them drove the police car and chased the van that was suspected of robbing the bank to the construction site. There was dust everywhere on the construction site, blocking the view of the helicopter overhead. 2 police cars drove into the construction site. Jiang Nan followed his master and carefully got out of the car, looking at the motionless black van in the distance. Jiang Nan took out his gun and was about to go forward, but his master stopped him. "What are you doing?" "Observing the situation." Jiang Nan said. "Nonsense. They have heavy weapons on them." His master scolded, "Don't fight with them. Observe the situation first." "All right." Jiang Nan had no choice. His master was the deputy captain, and he was a police officer, so he must obey his superior's orders. He squatted next to his police car, observing the movement of the van in the distance. 2 colleagues got out of the other car. They did not act rashly, but used the communicator to ask for support from the armed police force. Master, let's go and see. Something doesn't feel right. Jiang Nan could not wait anymore. What's the hurry? Be patient. The car is there, and they have not gotten out of the car. They definitely can't run away. His master seemed to be confident. The surrounding area has been surrounded, and the helicopter is right above this building. They have no way to escape. All right, Jiang Nan had no choice but to continue observing. His master even pulled the loudspeaker from the car, grabbed it in his hand, and shouted into it. The people inside, listen carefully. You have no way to escape. Strive for leniency. His master was known as a negotiator, and he began to persuade them. Although you robbed the bank, you did not kill anyone. As long as you surrender, I think the government will give you a lighter sentence. If you resist arrest, the consequences will be different. He persuaded for a long time, but there was still no movement inside the car. At this time, the armed police force's explosion-proof car also arrived. A group of armed police jumped out of the car and immediately surrounded the place. Jiang Nan thought to herself, these guys are finally here. The armed police slowly pushed forward with their explosion-proof shields and surrounded the van. One of the snipers broke the window of the van while the other immediately threw a tear gas grenade into the van. The grayish-white smoke quickly filled up the entire van. It was no longer a place for humans to stay. But still, no one came out. The armed police felt that something was wrong, and Jiang Nan also felt that it was not logical. His master noticed something was wrong. Wearing a gas mask, he walked over and pulled the door open. There was no one inside. There was only a big hole at the bottom of the van. Below the hole was an open sewer pipe. Master called Jiang Nan, and the two of them jumped into the sewer pipe. Then, they were stunned. It was connected in all directions, and no one knew where they had escaped to. This time, he was really dumbfounded. At this moment, Li Fan and the others were coming out from the sewers at the back of Ling Tian's bar. They were covered in mud and a foul smell. Holy shit, he really came out. Huang Lei lay on the ground, took off his mask, and panted heavily. This trip was really dangerous. He was so scared that his soul almost flew out of his body. Luckily, Ling Tian's plan was foolproof, and they successfully brought them out of the encirclement of the police. More than a ton of gold. The devil incarnate was also overjoyed. Boss, are you going to give us more dividends? Of course, more dividends. Li Fan said without hesitation. He still had to give them more benefits. The gold bars will be in the company's account. You guys can split the money. Thank you, big brother. Huang Lei was a little excited. There was more than 10 million in the bag, and it was quite a lot of money if they split it among themselves. Let Ling Tian be in charge of finding buyers for the gold. Li Fan made a rough arrangement. The rest of you, tidy up and do what you need to do. For the next few days, behave yourself. Don't spend too much money, got it? Understood, big brother. Don't worry about this. Huang Lei was already very happy. I promise I won't give you any trouble. Huang Lei always thought that he was the most useless in this team. He didn't expect that he still had some value today. This discovery made Huang Lei very excited. It was much more than earning a sum of money. Boss, don't worry. I'm not a newbie anymore. I know how to do this. The devil incarnate said with a smile. After earning such a large sum of money, he was also very happy. The good days were finally here. Li Fan took off his jacket and changed into his school uniform. At the same time, he put the dragon head mask together and threw it into the trash can in the backyard. These were all evidence. He definitely couldn't keep them. Li Fan changed his clothes and took a shower to get rid of the smell on his body. He looked at the time. Everything was going according to plan, not a single second was off. In the remaining time, he could still go to a cram school. Originally, Li Fan hated cram school the most. But now, He couldn't keep up with the progress of the course, so he had to go. But the happy thing was that the teacher of the cram school was Liao Wushuang. Every day after class, she still had to tutor Li Fan in the evening. So, she was indeed a bit busy. But for Liao Wushuang, she was very happy. I've made a lot of progress recently. Liao Wushuang saw Li Fan finished a set of questions and was somewhat satisfied. Not bad. It seems that your private tutor is also good at tutoring you. There were several questions that were solved in a way similar to Lin Yuhsn. It's the two of you who taught me well together. Li Fan quickly said. Liao Wushuang sighed. You can't please a girl like this. You're really an idiot. Then what should I say? You should say that I taught better than her. That way, I'll be happy. Liao Wushuang was a little older than Li Fan. She was more patient than him, so she was teaching him, so you see, you don't know how to coax a girl. It's really strange, how could there be so many girls who like you? Is there a need to ask? Because I'm handsome. Go to hell, you shameless bastard. Li Fan laughed. Just as he was about to speak, his phone suddenly vibrated violently. Li Fan opened it and saw that it was a call from Zhou Tai. It's so late, why did he call me? Li Fan couldn't help but guess. I hope it's a good thing. Li Fan picked up the phone and heard Zhou Tai's roar. Chapter 782. Li Fan. Zhou Tai's roar came from the other end of the line. Li Fan dug his ears and moved the phone further away from his ear. Chief Zhou, what's the matter? Why are you so agitated? Li Fan, you're too bold. Zhou Tai scolded him to his face. You actually dared to rob a bank. Chief Zhou, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Li Fan blinked his eyes and began to feign ignorance. Stop playing dumb. Don't you know what you've done? Zhou Tai was furious. It could be heard from his voice on the phone. I'm a student. I'm doing my duty and tutoring. Li Fan replied seriously, the rest of the time is spent preparing for the escort. What's wrong? Did something happen? Li Fan, don't play dumb. In this place, the only people who have the ability to rob a bank are you guys. Is there anyone else? Rob a bank? Rob what bank? I've been so busy all day, how could I do something like that? Besides, robbing a bank is illegal. Why would I do something illegal? You've done less. Zhou Tai continued to criticize Li Fan. Li Fan, don't think I don't know what you've done. In a place like Tree Flag Bank, you could rob it if you wanted to. But it's different now. Do you know how many pairs of eyes are on you now? What do you mean? I didn't rob it. Don't slander me. You know what you've done. Zhou Tai did not seem to want to argue with Li Fan. I'm not going to argue with you. Don't treat everyone as fools. Li Fan, I believe in you and recommend you. You should have a certain amount of trust in me. Otherwise, we can't continue working together. Alright, if I did it, what do you want? This is a critical period. This action of yours is really too sensitive. Zhou Tai reminded Li Fan, recently, the government has a project to build a plaza. It still needs some funds. Your company can contribute some. Zhou Tai's words made Li Fan's heart ache. Is your government still short of money? The government's money belongs to the people. It can't be spent recklessly. Zhou Tai said, moreover, if your company invests, it can also be considered as building a reputation for yourself. How much will this project cost? About 100 million, that's not much. Damn, 100 million is not a lot. Why don't you just rob someone? Li Fan, you've earned at least 200 million this time. That's a black profit. Taking out a portion of it to do good deeds and build a square for the commoners was for their own good. Some money can be spent, but some money can burn your hand. These words could not be more obvious. He was pointing at Li Fan. Open robbery, it was open robbery. Li Fan had the urge to smash the phone. 100 million. Although it was equivalent to picking it up for free, this robbery was also risking his life. This group of people was too vile, too excessive. Li Fan wanted to curse. But he endured it. He was dealing with the government, and he was facing a group of people who were more terrifying than beasts. If he really angered them, they would definitely eat him up without spitting out any bones. How about it, Li Fan, this is your only chance. Zhou Tai urged again. This time, Li Fan admitted defeat. All right, I promise you. There was no other way but to agree. Zhou Tai was right. This was Li Fan's only choice. Good, that's more like it. Zhou Tai had been furious just a moment ago, but now he suddenly had a pleasant expression on his face. He spoke to Li Fan in a much gentler tone. Boss Li is a man of integrity. I admire you very much. I thank you. Li Fan was rather depressed. 100 million. Why should I give him money? Mr. Yang sat opposite Li Fan and looked at him with a smile. He made a throat-slitting gesture. You can get rid of him. This way, no one will know about your matter. An ominous glint flashed in Li Fan's eyes. He seemed to have been provoked by Mr. Yang's words. But he quickly erased this thought. Zhou Tai was from the government. If he went against a government person, wouldn't he be courting death? He still needed to survive in China, so he absolutely could not do this. Li Fan sorted out his emotions and warned himself that there were some things he could not do. He must not be bewitched by this Mr. Yang. He was a true demon. What's wrong? Liao Wushuang saw that Li Fan had just hung up the phone. It seemed to be some business matters. Nothing, just a small problem. Although it was a big matter of 100 million, Li Fan did not want to mention this matter to Liao Wushuang. He did not want her to worry about it. He still had to explain this matter to his brothers. He estimated that they would definitely not be happy. After all, they worked hard to do it, and in the end, the government directly reaped the fruits of their labor. Who was the biggest hooligan? This time, he immediately understood. Well, tonight's tuition is almost over. Liao Wushuang looked at the time. Then can I go back now? Of course not. Ah, why? Because you have to accompany me to dinner. What, you don't want to? I'm happy to. Li Fan quickly made an inviting gesture. Teacher Liao, how about you condescend to accompany me to dinner tonight? I can consider it. Liao Wushuang smiled and reached out her hand, holding Li Fan's hand. Liao Wushuang's small hand was soft and very comfortable to the touch. Li Fan could not help but pinch a few more times, causing Liao Wushuang to roll her eyes. Mr. Li, wait for me to change my clothes, then we'll go. Change what clothes? Don't you look good in these clothes? Go to hell, how can you wear this kind of clothes when you go out? At this time, Liao Wushuang was wearing a very fitting white t-shirt and black wide-legged pants. Her simple attire, but with her curvaceous figure, became very attractive. But Liao Wushuang was also very particular, and would not casually wear it out. Well, I'll wait for you, hurry up. Got it. Liao Wushuang went into the bedroom next door, and after more than 10 minutes, came out with a change of clothes. Liao Wushuang's upper body was a clean white shirt, with a beautiful small suit on the outside. And the lower body was a black skinny pants, wrapped very well, like two inverted watermelons, with a seductive curved seam in the middle, double attracting people's attention. Being able to go out to dinner with such a female companion, made Li Fan feel very proud. But at the same time, he would also receive a lot of murderous gazes. This is the price of enjoying a good life. Am I beautiful? Liao Wushuang circled in front of Li Fan and then asked. Impeccable. Li Fan praised, causing Liao Wushuang's face to blush. Glib, let's go eat. Chapter 783. Although he was mentally prepared, Li Fan was still shocked. Along the way, the number of people who looked at him with hostility was uncountable. As long as it was a man, his gaze would be filled with hostility. It was as if the one eating with Li Fan was not Liao Wushuang, but the perfect goddess in their hearts. Even when they were eating, the male waiter who served them the dishes looked at him strangely. Li Fan somewhat understood that a man who could eat with a beauty like Liao Wushuang would definitely be envied by others. No, it's not a matter of jealousy. It's these men who hate Li Fan so much that they don't want Li Fan to live. Even the waiter looked at Li Fan as if he couldn't wait for him to die. Li Fan thought to himself, am I really that hateful? Miss, your dish. The waiter respectfully served Liao Wushuang's steak set meal and then coldly looked at Li Fan. You can wait for another half an hour. Fuck me. Li Fan was a bit angry. Differential treatment? Liao Wushuang's steak was already served, and he only ordered spaghetti. Why did it take so long? Please enjoy your meal. The waiter's attitude toward Li Fan was extremely bad, almost driving Li Fan away. Li Fan glanced at them and thought, these men probably want to drive me away. Li Fan understood their intention very well. However, understanding is one thing, it doesn't mean that I have to endure their anger. Forget it. Liao Wushuang could see that Li Fan was unhappy. She gently reached out her hand and gently held Li Fan's small hand. I'm by your side, don't lower yourself to their level. AI, it's because you're by my side that they want to drive me away. Li Fan half-jokingly said to Liao Wushuang. This shows that you chose a good woman. Liao Wushuang smiled and confidently said, this reflects your strong personal charm, shouldn't you be happy? Alright, what you said makes sense. Li Fan raised his hands in surrender. Liao Wushuang was right. Who asked him to be so charming? There was no helping it. If other men were jealous, then let them be. Li Fan began to shamelessly enjoy these envious gazes. But at this moment, a gentle and elegant young master next to her saw Liao Wushuang, and his eyes immediately flashed with the light of hunting. He was an expert at hunting beauties, and this woman looked like a woman with strong desires. As long as he could conquer her, she would crazily repay him in bed. That's right, I can't be wrong. Bruce, what are you looking at? Sitting opposite the young master was a foreigner with blonde hair and blue eyes. Although the two of them were of different nationalities, they were good friends who grew up together. The two's biggest hobby was to pick up girls together and then find opportunities to have a threesome, or even a foursome. It was because of this unique hobby that this pair of good friends became friends. Oh, she is indeed a beauty. The blonde foreigner couldn't help but exclaim, she's really beautiful. She's my type. I took a fancy to her first. The young master's English name was Bruce. He confidently said, I'll get her in a minute. Are you sure, Bruce? She has a male companion by her side. What are you afraid of? How many women have male companions? Didn't they obediently go to bed with me? The young master was very confident in his personal charm. If he couldn't even get a woman, how could he call himself the third young master of a city? He was a mixed race, handsome, rich, and well-educated. There were almost no women who didn't like him. That's true. Don't forget to share it with your good brother. The blonde man said to Bruce with a smile. Don't worry, I understand. Bruce winked at him, then tidied up his suit, walked forward, and came to Liao Wushuang's side. Hello, beautiful lady, I'm a talent scout and want to get to know you. When a woman heard that a talent scout came to poach her, her first reaction would be happy and excited. In particular, Bruce had a very good image and was very popular with young girls. Usually, when young girls saw Bruce, they would have no resistance. Only Liao Wushuang, who was not a young girl, but a mature beauty. Sorry, I'm not interested in being a star. Liao Wushuang flatly refused. That's true. You're no different from a star. Look, everyone's eyes are on you. What Bruce said was indeed true. At this moment, almost everyone was looking at Liao Wushuang, especially the men. No man would not be attracted to Liao Wushuang, and no woman would not be jealous of Liao Wushuang. Her existence overshadowed all the women here. She's just a slut, what's there to look at? If you look again, I'll dig your eyes out. This kind of woman's reprimand almost came one after another, but it still couldn't stop them from staring at Liao Wushuang. Liao Wushuang's body seemed to be poisoned, causing everyone to be poisoned by a kind of love poison. Bruce was very confident. He looked at Liao Wushuang in front of him with a pair of blue eyes, intending to conquer her with his charm. But Liao Wushuang was unmoved, as if Bruce was just a puppet. This young lady. Seeing that Liao Wushuang ignored him, Bruce thought that Liao Wushuang didn't hear him. As long as this girl looked at him, she would definitely be fascinated by his charm. Bruce was full of confidence, and Liao Wushuang finally looked at him. Sir, I'm sorry, I'm eating with my boyfriend. Would you please leave? Bruce was dumbfounded. He was actually rejected by a girl. How was this possible? Bruce couldn't believe his eyes, and he even suspected that this was a dream. He had been spoiled since he was a child, and he was always surrounded by girls. He had never been short of women. But today, he was actually rejected by a girl. This was impossible. Bruce didn't quite believe it. He was about to continue speaking when Li Fan spoke for Liao Wushuang. Don't disturb our meal, thank you. Bruce looked at the man in front of him, and his eyes narrowed. He was not a fool. He knew that if he was impatient for success, he would definitely make the girl unhappy. Tactics had to be roundabout, and those who fought head-on were idiots. Bruce was going to play hard to get. He wanted to let the girl know what a real master of love was. In that case, distinguished young lady, I won't disturb your meal anymore. We'll meet again if fate wills it. Bruce turned around and returned to his seat, only to be ridiculed by his blonde friend. Don't worry, my friend. The best is yet to come. Chapter 784. Although Bruce was rejected by the girl, he was not angry or discouraged at all. To him, the more challenging the girl was, the greater the sense of accomplishment he would feel when he managed to get his hands on her and ride her. As for the girl's boyfriend, he looks like a loser. For this kind of person, as long as he shows a little bit of his strength, he will be able to make them retreat. Before Li Fan and the others left, Bruce secretly made a phone call. After a phone call, Bruce confirmed that there are no accidents, then he smiled and began to eat his steak. Is it all arranged? Yes, it's all arranged. Bruce nodded, this girl will soon be in my pocket. Okay, then I will wait for your good news. The blonde friend also likes Liao Wushuang very much. She is indeed very beautiful, such a woman is impossible to be hated by anyone. Bruce was like a good hunter, waiting for his prey to come. He quietly finished his glass of red wine with his friend, waiting for the prey to take the bait. At this time, Li Fan also finished his dinner with Liao Wushuang, and the two were ready to go home. When they just walked out of the door and came to the parking lot, several punks who were squatting there immediately stood up. A punk with a cigarette in his mouth and a baseball bat in his hand, with dyed yellow hair, pointed the baseball bat at Li Fan opposite him. Why do you look like you need a beating? And such a beautiful girlfriend. Damn, looking at you, I feel that you need a beating. The yellow hair's mouth was dirty. How about this, you let us play with your girlfriend, then we will let you go, how about it? Li Fan glanced at Liao Wushuang, and Liao Wushuang laughed. You take a break, I will do it. Liao Wushuang said to Li Fan. Okay. Li Fan knew that Liao Wushuang is afraid that he will not be gentle. He nodded and let her go to the side. This is an opportunity for Liao Wushuang to practice Killer Bee, Heart Destruction Palm. However, this heart destruction palm can be used against martial artists, but if it is used against ordinary people, I am afraid that one palm will kill them. Liao Wushuang was sensible and steady, she wouldn't do such an impulsive thing. Li Fan stood aside and Blondie couldn't help but laugh along with his companion. Ha ha ha, you're too funny. A man was actually standing behind a woman. God, are you even a man? Did you bring your dick? Do you want to take off your pants and let us check? These people insulted Li Fan in various ways, but Li Fan remained unmoved. His strength had already risen to another realm, so he couldn't lower himself to the level of ordinary people. However, Liao Wushuang didn't necessarily think so. In Liao Wushuang's heart, Li Fan's position was supreme, and no one could humiliate him. "Beauty, do you want to play with me?" A guy with a nose ring walked forward with a smile and reached out to touch Liao Wushuang's cheek. But Liao Wushuang directly reached out, grabbed the man's palm, and twisted it. With a cracking sound, this brother's palm was directly twisted off. He screamed in pain, like a pig being slaughtered. When the nearby punks saw this, they were all dumbfounded, thinking, "What's going on?" Liao Wushuang didn't hesitate at all. She forcefully twisted his hand again. The nose ring guy directly knelt on the ground, crying with snot and tears, desperately begging Liao Wushuang for mercy. "Beauty, beauty, I was wrong, beauty, please let me go, ah ah ah. Brothers, don't just stand there, let's beat this chick into submission." The blondie roared with a stick in his hand. Those punks finally reacted. One by one, they screamed, grabbed their weapons, and rushed over. These people were indeed ordinary punks, some were holding baseball bats, some were holding mops, and some were holding wrenches. But Liao Wushuang was fearless. Although she didn't know martial arts before, she was proficient in fighting, so dealing with ordinary people was not a problem. Now that she learned martial arts, Liao Wushuang was like a tiger with wings. These ordinary punks couldn't even get close to her. Liao Wushuang took a few steps forward, passing through several people. Every time she passed, a punk would be sent flying by her fist. With Liao Wushuang's strength, these punks couldn't stop her at all. When the blondie reacted, a row of his friends were already lying on the ground, all of them were knocked down by Liao Wushuang. The blondie was convinced. He directly knelt down and begged Liao Wushuang for mercy. "Big sister, I was wrong, please spare my life." Liao Wushuang was taken aback by the yellow-hair's sudden apology. She had thought that the yellow-haired man would have some backbone and fight with her. Unexpectedly, he just knelt down and begged for mercy. There was no sense of accomplishment at all. Liao Wushuang also understood. No wonder Li Fan likes to find experts to compete with. Those who are not strong can't fight at all. I won't be like Li Fan and develop into a martial arts fanatic, right? Liao Wushuang was a little worried. She didn't want to become so violent. Just when Liao Wushuang was worried, Bruce suddenly rushed out from the side and roared at the same time. "Let go of that girl. You bunch of animals." He was stunned. The people he invited were all lying on the ground. And the blondie was kneeling there, begging for mercy from the woman he liked. "What's going on? Something's wrong." "Sorry, you're late." Liao Wushuang clapped her hands, kicked away the blondie who was crawling over, and then said to Bruce, who wanted to be a hero to save the beauty, "These people are too weak. Next time, send someone more powerful." Bruce was completely dumbfounded. This beauty also knows some kung fu. "Beauty, what kind of kung fu do you know?" "I also know kung fu, karate, black belt." "I guess this is a misunderstanding, but misunderstanding is fate. We can have a good martial arts match, what do you think?" Bruce must find a chance to turn the tables. If he wants to show his manly elegance, he can only rely on his absolute charm to show it. But to his surprise, Liao Wushuang suddenly raised her hand and pushed Bruce from far away. As if blown by a strong wind, Bruce's body suddenly flew out and heavily hit the car behind him. "I'm sorry, I practice Chinese ancient martial arts, karate and so on. I don't want to be conspicuous." Bruce was completely stunned. Although Liao Wushuang has shown mercy, the shock in his heart could not stop. Chinese martial arts? How could there be ancient martial arts in China? Isn't that something in martial arts novels? How could there be such a thing in reality? Bruce was very confused. He felt that Liao Wushuang must have used some special means to scare him. Chapter 785. Brosnan doesn't believe in Chinese ancient martial arts. These are all things in novels, it's impossible for them to exist in reality. Reality is reality, how can there be so many illusory things? Brosnan just doesn't believe it. At this time, a bus parked nearby suddenly lit up its headlights. The dazzling headlights shone on Li Fan and Liao Wushuang's eyes, almost blinding them. Even Brosnan, who is kneeling in the distance, is taken aback. What's going on? The yellow-haired man and the others have long run away in fright, simply ignoring their boss. The moment Li Fan and the others closed their eyes from the dazzling headlights, a figure instantly jumped out of the bus. Her figure floated in the air, spinning rapidly. At the same time, her mouth blew the jade flute, playing a unique tune. At the same time, those tunes carried along sound waves and sword chi, and they formed numerous sword gales that swept out in all directions. Li Fan and Liao Wushuang both closed their eyes and didn't see this scene at all. But subconsciously, the two of them felt danger at the same time. Li Fan picked up Liao Wushuang, closed his eyes, and jumped to the side. He dodged the large number of rhythmic attacks, fell to the side, and then slowly opened his eyes. Cheng Mohan, dressed in a black genie guard uniform, stood there with a jade flute in her hand, looking at Li Fan with a smile. Li Fan, I finally caught you. Cheng Mohan looked at Li Fan with a smile hanging on her mouth. This time, you can't escape. Not necessarily, right? Li Fan put Liao Wushuang down again and looked at the genie guard killer in front of him. But how long have you been following me? You actually set up a killing trap here? For a while. Cheng Mohan leisurely said, it's just that I haven't been noticed yet. Li Fan, your vigilance is too weak. It's because you guys are too idle today. Li Fan can't help but sigh, can't you go do some proper business? Why do you follow me every day? Am I handsome? You're still on my blacklist. As long as you don't die, that's my only priority. Cheng Mohan said seriously, this is your fate, Li Fan. Accept it. I'll decide my own fate. It's not up to you embroidered uniform guard to decide. Li Fan frowned. With his hands behind his back, he looked at Cheng Mohan. That's what you say, but didn't you still win over 2 members of the embroidered uniform guard? After that, Cheng Mohan glanced at Liao Wushuang who was standing next to her. Liao Wushuang was also a member of the genie guard. Although she left the genie guard, her identity was still there. The daughter of the boss behind the scenes. Li Fan's ability to pick up girls was second to none. That's why a man like you is a scourge to the embroidered uniform guard. We must get rid of you. Cheng Mohan looked unrestrained, but she was actually loyal to the embroidered uniform guard. Within the embroidered uniform guard, she was the one who did not want any benefits. She only wanted to get rid of Li Fan. Cheng Mohan's existence was also the thing that gave Li Fan a headache. This little girl pestered him every day and almost became his follower. Cheng Mohan, didn't Wang Zheng say that he would not put Li Fan on the wanted list for the time being? Liao Wushuang questioned Cheng Mohan. Liao Qianqian, it seems that you really betrayed us. Cheng Mohan looked at Liao Wushuang with eyes filled with hatred. Did you forget whose daughter you are? I have nothing to do with him. Other than the same surname, there's nothing in common. Liao Wushuang's voice was cold as if she did not know the person she mentioned. Nonsense. That person's bloodline is pure. You inherited his bloodline, so you should stand on our side. In the past, Cheng Mohan could still casually tease and joke, but today she was somewhat annoyed and did not have her usual leisurely state. Perhaps Liao Wushuang, this woman, had a special meaning to the embroidered uniform guard. What kind of person was Liao Wushuang's father? Li Fan began to guess. After all, she was still a curious person. Liao Wushuang, since you have betrayed us, today I will clean up for the embroidered uniform guard. Cheng Mohan's gaze fell on Liao Wushuang. Li Fan immediately opened his mouth. Hey, didn't we agree that everything is directed at me? This is the internal affairs of our embroidered uniform guard, it has nothing to do with you. Cheng Mohan said, jumped up and blew the jade flute in her mouth. An ear-piercing tune instantly entered Liao Wushuang's ears. At the same time, the Toon formed two assassins with daggers in their hands and appeared behind Liao Wushuang. The daggers in each of their hands were aimed at Liao Wushuang's temples. But Liao Wushuang was not an ordinary person. She stepped on her true qi and suddenly bounced into the air, stepping on the 7 or 8 meters high ceiling. Bruce was dumbfounded. What is this situation? Could it be that this is really the legendary ancient martial arts? Bruce's heart was like a stormy sea, unable to calm down for a long time. His 3 views since childhood have been subverted. Everything that happened in front of him could only be seen in movies or TV series. But now, it appeared in front of him alive, which was really unbelievable. Could it be that everything he knew since childhood was wrong? Li Fan and the others didn't care about Bruce's feelings at all. In short, today was going to be a fierce battle. Liao Wushuang stepped on the ceiling above her head. She waved her hand at Li Fan, indicating that she didn't want Li Fan to intervene. Li Fan could only agree to his woman's request. He crossed his arms and stood aside to watch the show. Liao Wushuang's strength was actually much weaker than Cheng Mohan's, but she won because she had Li Fan's feelings and could share some of Li Fan's fighting instincts. At this time, Liao Wushuang used her true qi to absorb the ceiling above her head and stared at Cheng Mohan below. She saw Cheng Mohan take out her jade flute and was about to play a tune just as it was about to touch her lips. At this moment, Liao Wushuang suddenly made a move. Cheng Mohan played a tune, and a sound shadow assassin suddenly appeared in front of Liao Wushuang, stabbing the dagger in his hand at Liao Wushuang's temple. Liao Wushuang's body immediately scattered and turned into a little shadow. Cheng Mohan knew that she had stabbed Liao Wushuang's shadow. She felt a gust of wind behind her back, and she subconsciously felt a chill. She didn't dare to hesitate and continued to play the tune. The sound blade rotated around her body, forcing Liao Wushuang to step back and forcing her to withdraw her palm that was about to hit her back. Just this move alone made Cheng Mohan break out in cold sweat. Where did Liao Wushuang learn martial arts? Wasn't she a true qi insulator? If not, why did Lord Liao abandon her and forbid her from entering the martial world? But who would have thought that this woman had learned martial arts? Chapter 786. That's impossible. What was a martial arts insulator? It meant that her body structure was different from ordinary people. Without meridians, she was born unable to practice martial arts. It was like saying that the circuit board of a computer was broken. Naturally, you couldn't make it work anymore. If you wanted to make it work, you had to change the circuit board. But a computer could be disassembled to change the circuit board. But could a human be disassembled to change the meridians? That was obviously impossible. Who knew what Liao Wushuang had experienced to have such a drastic change? Moreover, looking at her appearance, it was obvious that she had some experience in martial arts. This kind of adaptability during a fight was not something that could be learned easily. What happened to Liao Wushuang? Cheng Mohan couldn't figure out the mystery. At this time, Liao Wushuang attacked again. Liao Wushuang suddenly appeared on Cheng Mohan's right side. Her 2 fingers were like highly poisonous hornet's stinger, quickly and accurately piercing towards Cheng Mohan's temple. Cheng Mohan immediately retreated more than 10 meters to avoid Liao Wushuang's attack. Although Liao Wushuang's strength was very different from hers, she didn't know why this woman gave her a very scary feeling. Every time she made a move, it was a terrifying killing move. If she was hit once, she would be seriously injured even if she didn't die. Cheng Mohan had to keep a distance from Liao Wushuang. Moreover, her sound wave attack was a long-range attack. Fighting in close combat was very disadvantageous for her. However, Liao Wushuang followed Cheng Mohan like a shadow. Relying on her unique footwork, she almost never left Cheng Mohan's side. At the same time, she attacked Cheng Mohan with either the heart-destroying palm or the venomous tail needle like a storm. Cheng Mohan was getting more and more shocked. If Liao Wushuang had shown such talent in the past, she wouldn't have been kicked out by Lord Liao. It was too strange, really strange. But Cheng Mohan was Cheng Mohan, the leader of the 4 dark guards of the genie guards. She believed that she was different from the other embroidered uniform guards. Only she truly thought for the embroidered uniform guards because she loved Sir Liao deeply. As for the others, they were all incompetent people who only thought about themselves. The genie guards didn't need these people. Cheng Mohan wanted to kill Liao Wushuang. She couldn't let this woman who betrayed the genie guards live. Executing her was more important than executing Li Fan. Thinking of this, Cheng Mohan suddenly slid backward. Her whole body displayed exquisite qigong and directly slid backward for more than 30 meters, landing on the roof of a car in the distance. At the same time, she put away the jade flute and sat cross-legged on the roof of the car. She stretched out her hand and pulled out a zither from the corner of the side with her true qi, placing it on her legs. Liao Qianqian, this execution is for you. As Cheng Mohan spoke, she began to play with both hands. Li Fan and Liao Wushuang immediately heard an impassioned melody. The melody was infused with true qi, and unexpectedly formed the appearance of an axeman. It directly appeared beside Liao Wushuang, raised the axe in its hand high, and heavily chopped down on Liao Wushuang's neck. This move was so sudden that most people would not expect it and would find it difficult to guard against it. Li Fan was a little shocked. He did not expect that Cheng Mohan actually still hid such a killer move. This move, Liao Wushuang could not dodge at all. But at this time, Li Fan forcibly pulled Liao Wushuang in front of him with the dragon toad's absorption of water. Bang! The heavy axe chopped on the ground, leaving a deep knife mark on the ground. It was a shocking sight to see. The axeman slowly disappeared. But Cheng Mohan's move was also very amazing, which made Li Fan very surprised. As expected of the 4 great black guards, the elites of the elites. This is the internal affairs of the genie guards, there is no need for you to intervene. Cheng Mohan looked at Li Fan uncomfortably. That move just now could have killed Liao Wushuang. Unexpectedly, Li Fan interfered and saved Liao Wushuang's life. Liao Wushuang also breathed a sigh of relief, feeling a little scared. It seems that my strength really needs to be strengthened. It is indeed too difficult to fight with someone whose strength is so much higher than mine. Not only is it difficult, but it is also accompanied by life-threatening danger. Since when do you have the right to decide my affairs? Li Fan bluntly looked at Cheng Mohan. If you want to touch Liao Wushuang, you have to go through me first. Cheng Mohan was a little angry, the best time to kill has passed. Now that Li Fan has fully guarded against her, it is too difficult to kill him. Li Fan, don't be too proud. Cheng Mohan gritted her teeth, this debt, my genie guards will not forget. Unfortunately, your strength is not enough to speak like this. Li Fan said, with a bounce of his foot, his whole body suddenly appeared in front of Cheng Mohan. Cheng Mohan was taken aback, immediately playing the zither, releasing a melody wrapped with true qi, forming a barrier, trying to block Li Fan's attack. But Li Fan's qilin palm has already hit the barrier. Bang! Li Fan's palm directly broke Cheng Mohan's defense, stopping in front of her face. Cheng Mohan was almost scared out of her wits. If not for Li Fan stopping, her head would have been blown away. After the last fight with Murong, Li Fan's strength actually did not retreat. This man. How can he be so strong? Cheng Mohan suddenly began to doubt, is he stronger than Liao Darren? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Liao Darren is the real son of heaven, he should unify Jianghu, even unify China, and then unify the world. But why did Li Fan suddenly appear out of nowhere? Cheng Mohan was somewhat annoyed, she can't wait to kill Liao Wushuang, kill Li Fan, but her ability is not enough. See you later, Li Fan. Cheng Mohan turned around, using her qigong to prepare to leave. But Li Fan sneered, stretched out his hand, he only needs to use Dragon Toad's absorption of water to drag this woman back. But Liao Wushuang stretched out his hand and grabbed Li Fan's wrist. Forget it. Li Fan tilted his head, looking at Liao Wushuang with a puzzled look. She wants to let it go like this. No matter what, he is a member of the genie guards. Although I have no relationship with that person, I don't want to make things too awkward. Liao Wushuang thought, if he personally came to deal with Li Fan, it will be terrible. Although Qing Mohan is a bit difficult to deal with, at least she can't beat Li Fan. But if her father comes, then it's hard to say. For the sake of Li Fan's safety, this time, she can only bear with it. I'll listen to you. Doing Liao Wushuang a favor is nothing for Li Fan. But whether Qing Mohan appreciates it or not, it's another matter. The two of them left the underground parking lot, but Bruce still sat there blankly, unable to wrap his head around it. What the hell is going on? Chapter 787. Qing Mohan fled back to the branch of the Genie Guard. Last time, the branch in a city was destroyed by Li Fan and Yan Kai. Now, the branch was built again. Because the Genie Guard was currently understaffed, there weren't many people in the branch, not even a commander. Qing Mohan was the only person in charge here, handling all the affairs of the Genie Guard. Below her, there was a Qianhu. However, that Qianhu was obviously a money grubber. He ran the Genie Guard to make money for himself. He had no intention of killing Li Fan. To him, Li Fan was a bomb. Anyone who touched him would be blown up. Many Genie Guards had failed because of Li Fan. The 4 black guards had almost been overturned, not to mention those so-called commanders and Qianhu. She was the only one in the entire Genie Guard who wanted to kill Li Fan. For Lord Liao, Li Fan had to die. His potential was too great. If she didn't kill him, he would be a great threat to Liao Wushuang. She had to find a way to kill Li Fan. It was time to use any means necessary. Qing Mohan made up her mind. This time, she had to play hard on Li Fan. Li Fan wasn't in the mood to think about the Genie Guard. His fiefan escort agency had officially opened for business. Although it had been operating before, it was all underground because it didn't have a business license. However, things were different now. Under Zhou Tai's care, fiefan escort agency obtained legal procedures and could finally open for business and make money. Especially when Li Fan's business was at a low point, many forces in the Jianghu had to give face to Murong's family. After all, Murong's Murong Villa was unparalleled in the Jianghu. The only one who could barely compete with him was the Sima family in the south. However, the Sima family wasn't on good terms with him either. He had tormented them many times. He had offended the 2 great clans. The Jianghu was too small and there were too many disputes. Murong Bo, that old fellow is too arrogant, I can't let him continue to dominate. Li Fan looked at the mirror and said to himself while adjusting the tie on his suit. Let me help you. Standing at the side, Xia Ho could not help but chuckle when she saw how flustered Li Fan was. When the beauty smiled, all the flowers dimmed. This was Xia Ho's charm. Even Li Fan found it hard to resist. It seemed that little senior sister was getting more and more beautiful, and her personality was also getting more and more gentle. A lot of things in his life were taken care of by Xia Yan. Murong Ying and Tai Zhu had already left. In the past, it was Tai Zhu who took care of his life. Now, it was Xia Yi who took care of him. Xia Ho stood in front of Li Fan. Her face was very close to Li Fan's, and her forehead was in front of Li Fan's mouth. As long as Li Fan slightly bowed his head, he could kiss little senior sister's forehead. But she was very serious about tying Li Fan's tie and did not notice the charming atmosphere. Li Fan also put away his little thoughts. Little senior sister Xia Yi really treated him like a little brother. How could he have any improper thoughts about her? But, little senior sister's hair smells really good. Li Fan could not help but reach out his hand and secretly slap himself. What's wrong? Xia Yi just finished tying Li Fan's tie and was a little surprised to see him slap himself. There are mosquitoes. Li Fan laughed dryly. This matter was not easy to explain to little senior sister. If it was painful, he could only silently endure it. The people outside have been waiting for a long time. Let's go out. Xia Yi helped Li Fan adjust his cuffs. After checking that there was no problem, she let him go. Today was the first day of business. As the boss of the company, Li Fan naturally had to be more formal. There were not many guests today. Li Fan's reputation was not very good now. It was estimated that it would not be the same as last time when the security company opened for business. Li Fan and Xia Yi left the room together, walked through the corridor, and went outside. They chose a business suite on the central street, which was quite close to Wanda Plaza. Li Fan's name was Extraordinary Logistics, and the slogan was Extraordinary Speed and Safety. This was a two-story building with a small attic. The first floor was the lobby, and the second floor was the office. Li Fan lived in the small attic on the third floor. Although the attic wasn't big, it was still quite warm. The furniture inside was made of wood and looked antique. Li Fan liked it very much. Xia Yi lived in a guest room downstairs, and the conditions were a little better than Li Fan's. However, when choosing, Li Fan chose the attic at first glance, so he ignored Xia Yi's dissuasion and moved everything in. This building was developed by Lu Xinnan's group, and Lu Xinnan sold it to Li Fan at the cheapest price. Because there were other shareholders in the building, Lu Xinnan couldn't just give it away. Fortunately, Li Fan had just made a big deal and had a lot of working capital, so he didn't have to worry when buying this small building. With Xia Yi living with him and taking care of Li Fan's daily life, Li Fan had a lot of worries. He and Xia Yi walked out of the room and went outside. The sun was shining brightly. As Li Fan had expected, it was deserted outside the door. There was not a single person who came to celebrate. "Junior brother, it's windy outside. Come in and take a rest." Xia Yi didn't expect that there would be no one outside. Based on Li Fan's status in the pugilistic world in the past, there should be many people in the pugilistic world congratulating the opening of his escort agency. But now, the situation had changed to such an extent. This was too much. When Li Fan was doing well, those people in the pugilistic world called him brother and couldn't wait to lick his dick. Now, they can't even see a fart. Yan Kai was dressed extravagantly and had a handsome face. He sat in the hall, but his tone was very unfriendly. Clearly, he was angered. The people in the pugilistic world are just so. Guan Wenbao was like a martial god. He held a crescent blade and stood at the side with his eyes closed. He couldn't help but interrupt when he heard Yan Kai curse. Chen Junhua was the only one who didn't say anything, as if he didn't care about the matters in the pugilistic world. To him, the most important thing was to learn the most powerful sword technique and become the king of the sword Dao. Chen Junhua didn't care about other things at all. Li Fan understood that Chen Junhua was even more of a martial arts fanatic than Guan Wenbao. Guan Wenbao liked to practice martial arts to revive the family's reputation and let the world know the Guan family's name again. Big Dipper sat there and drank tea leisurely. "Don't worry. The pugilistic world is so big. There are bound to be people who need our help. Thank you for your kind words." Li Fan cupped his fists. But it'd be great if there really is such a person. Just as Li Fan finished speaking, someone pushed open the door and entered. "Excuse me, is this the escort agency?" Chapter 788. Li Fan and the rest quickly turned around. A man in plain clothes pushed open the door and entered. He looked travel-worn. He looked hurried. After entering, he first looked around the room. There was a large hall opposite. 2 armchairs were placed there, an Extraordinaire's escort flag was hung on the wall. The man seemed to hesitate for a moment, but when he saw that the chief escort sitting in the hall was a young man, he became even more uncertain. "Is it really an escort agency?" "Yes, it is. Don't worry." Xia Yi welcomed him and asked him to sit down. Then, she handed him a cup of hot tea. "Please take a seat. What kind of escort would you like to escort, sir?" The man's expression became much better when he saw Xia Yi. It was obvious that a beauty's power was different. "Ah, I'm indeed escorting an escort. However, this is a treasure passed down from my ancestors. I'm a little worried if I find a random escort agency." "Don't worry. Our escort agency guarantees a compensation of 1 to 10. Xia Yi introduced Extraordinaire's mission. If your item is lost, we will compensate you 10 times the price. We can sign a contract with you. Don't worry. How do you set the compensation price? The man asked cautiously. This is a treasure passed down from my ancestors. It's priceless. If you set a low price, wouldn't I be at a disadvantage? You can look for an appraisal center to appraise it. We guarantee that we will not cheat you. Xia Yi emphasized again and even took out a contract. You can take a look at our contract. It's tailor-made for our customers. We definitely put our customers first. Don't worry. How much do you charge? The man seemed to be here to do business. He began to talk about money. That depends on the package you choose. Xia Yi pointed at the experts present. We will provide you with different packages according to the route and manpower. Here are the packages. You can take a look. Your fees are quite expensive. These are already discounted prices. After all, our escorts are real experts. For the first time, Li Fan felt that his little senior sister was quite eloquent. Look, these are all heroes, especially Chief Escort Li Fan. He's already a little overlord in the pugilistic world at such a young age. He created the top 10 martial arts in the Divine Skill Manual. He's the chief escort. The male customer looked at Li Fan from head to toe. It was as if he wished his eyes could grow X-rays and shoot through Li Fan. But Li Fan just sat there. He was a young man, but his face looked mature. The man couldn't see through him at all. Was this youth really that powerful? All right, since I'm already here, I hope we can seal the deal. The man said, but if you can't handle it, then I'm sorry, I'll come every day and smash your shop. Sure. What's your bodyguard and how much you pay? As the boss, Li Fan had the final say. He accepted the job. After all, it was the first job for the escort agency after it officially opened for business. He had to do it well. Hidden darts. However, the man did not take out his dart. Instead, he said, you shall bear the responsibility yourself. Brother, the price of a hidden dart is expensive. Li Fan's eyes sharpened. It's expensive, but it's worth it. The customer gritted his teeth and stomped his feet. I want to deliver it to Tianjin port. You guys have to escort me there overnight. Sure. Which package do you want? The luxurious one or the economical one? I want the medium one. 3 experts will escort the dart together. Sure. Li Fan nodded. Normally, I shouldn't do anything if you choose this package. But you're lucky this time. We've just opened for business. I'll give you a discount and personally escort the dart. Although you're the chief escort, I don't know what you're capable of. But no matter who goes, the dart must be delivered to me safely. Sure. Li Fan agreed. As long as they could open for business, he would give them a discount. Once the agency's reputation was established, the money would naturally be earned back. I'll go with you guys. The customer urged. It's best if you leave now. I'll transfer the advance payment to you immediately. So urgent? Li Fan was surprised. I was thinking of going after the Mid-Autumn Festival. Tomorrow was the Mid-Autumn Festival. Li Fan had planned to go shopping or have a meal with little senior sister, Lu Xinan, and Liao Wushuang. Li Fan had planned to have a good rest when he finally got a holiday. He did not expect things to happen again. Yes, it's time. You guys don't have any other business today. You can serve me. All right. Sign the contract. Li Fan waved his hand and signed the contract for the customer. The customer's name was Li Jun. They were from the same sect. There was a trace of panic in his expression. It seemed that the thing he was escorting away was indeed an extremely precious treasure. Although Li Fan was curious, an escort had his own principles. He wouldn't ask, let alone look at the hidden dart. Tell Lei to drive for us. Other than me, Old Guan and Yan Kai will be the ones in charge of escorting them. It had been a long time since he brought these two clowns on a mission. Li Fan felt that they must be bored and decided to bring them out for a stroll. Brother Li, I want to go too. Chen Junhua expressed his thoughts directly. He had always been direct and did not beat around the bush. I know you want to gain experience. But if you leave too, Senior Big Dipper will be the only one guarding this place. Although he's skilled in martial arts, he's still getting on in years. It's better to have someone to order around. It's fine. I'm still in my prime. Don't worry about it. Big Dipper said with a chuckle as if he didn't want to admit his age. Plus, I have a bad feeling about this. After I leave, there will definitely be strong enemies visiting this place. Then I'll stay here. Chen Junhua agreed. It's not a bad idea if there are strong enemies. Li Fan made some arrangements, and finally, under the urging of the client, Li Jun, he walked out of the door. Huang Lei had already prepared a Buick GL8. This was a new car bought by his company and was specially used for logistics. The car was still new and there was the smell of genuine leather seats. Let's go. We'll go to Tianjin port overnight. For escorts, the road was the only choice. Because many people's escorts were not suitable to be exposed to the public. Otherwise, it would attract unnecessary trouble. Li Jun's dart was probably the same. That was why they chose to take the road. Brother, are you in a hurry to go home for the Mid-Autumn Festival? Why are you in such a hurry? Huang Lei was a chatterbox. He couldn't stop talking along the way. He found a topic and started chatting with Li Jun. Chapter 789. Huang Lei's character has always been like this. He doesn't care if the other person wants to talk or not, he just talks endlessly. Li Jun obviously doesn't want to chat with him. Along the way, he only says one sentence at a time. Huang Lei is getting more and more happy. After all, he is responsible for driving long distance. Having someone to chat with can also reduce the mental pressure. Li Jun seems to be a bit annoyed. He looks at the navigation on his phone and knows that there is a service station not far away. Brother, please stop at the service station in front. I want to get off. What? Get off? Not going to escort? Huang Lei was surprised. He almost drove the car down the cliff. No, I want to go to the toilet and smoke. Li Jun explained with a rather impatient tone. Okay. Huang Lei nodded. He approached the service station and parked the car on the side of the road. He let Li Jun get off to smoke. Autumn in the north is relatively cold. Huang Lei is wearing a thick cotton coat. Li Fan and Guan Wenbao are still wearing ordinary clothes. This makes Huang Lei very envious. Brother, when are you going to pass me some inner force so that I can warm up? Huang Lei takes a drag of his cigarette. I'm freezing on the way here. Can't you turn up the heat? Li Fan rolls his eyes. I'm afraid that you're hot. Don't worry. Our bodies are good. Moreover, we have true qi to protect our bodies. Don't be too envious. This is the gap between us. Yan Kai patted Huang Lei's shoulder and mocked, however, your ability to not reject any woman is something we can't even be envious of. What? That's because you don't know how to appreciate a woman's beauty. Huang Lei exhales a smoke ring and excitedly says, that woman is a bit fatter. If she is fat, her body will have meat. Those breasts, those legs, especially when she shakes her body, the meat will also shake. TSK, don't even mention how exciting it is. Fuck off. Yan Kai was a little disgusted. He subconsciously imagined the scene Huang Lei had described. Heavens, this man is simply going to ascend to the heavens. What kind of stimulation did he receive to fall in love with this kind of woman? Sure enough, everyone has their own preferences. That's why I said you guys don't know how to taste. Huang Lei spoke with fervor and assurance, although the number of people I've beaten isn't as many as yours, the number of girls I've slept with will definitely scare you to death. By the way, recently a good restaurant opened on the red light street. Later I will take my brother to have some fun. Especially you, old Guan. Look at you. We just talked about women, and your face is as red as a monkey's butt. I think you've fallen in love with her. Whoosh. No one knew when Guan Wenbao had raised his broadsword. With a point of his finger, the blade rested on Huang Lei's shoulder. I didn't hear you clearly just now. Say it again. Guan Wenbao's face was expressionless as he asked flatly. Hey, old Guan, look at your face. It's so red. How can you look so good? Humph. Guan Wenbao put away his broadsword. Huang Lei silently wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. Damn, this is really scary. Old Guan's temper has been getting worse recently. He can't take a joke anymore. Well, don't mess around. How long have those people been following us? Li Fan did not turn his head. His thumb went over his shoulder and pointed to the back. All the way. Huang Lei smiled. Li Jun is a tight-lipped kid. I didn't get any useful information from him. This guy is very cunning. Everyone be careful. Li Fan reminded them, don't fall into this guy's trap. I want to see what Li Jun's darts are. Yan Kai sat in the back of the car. With a ponytail, he was trimming his nails. I'm afraid it's a bomb. We are armed escorts. Guan Wenbao glared at Yan Kai, implying that Yan Kai's position is not firm enough. Of course I know we are armed escorts. Yan Kai blew the dust off his nails and casually said, I'm afraid this trip is not exciting enough. But the people in that car don't know any kung fu. I'm not interested. It's not fun. It's going to be fun soon. Li Fan looked at two masked men jumping out of the car with 5 bullets in their hands. These darts are not ordinary. Li Fan laughed, it's starting. I'll be right back. Guan Wenbao said, opened the car door. Without even taking his broadsword, he directly went to the 2 men with shotguns. The 2 men froze for a moment. They didn't expect the person they are looking for to come out. But they are ruthless. They directly raised their 5 bullets and aimed at Guan Wenbao. But Guan Wenbao's figure took a step forward. With 1 step, he crossed a distance of 5 steps and instantly appeared in front of the 2 gunmen. The 2 gunmen wanted to shoot, but Guan Wenbao stretched out his hands and directly broke the barrels of the 2 guns. The 2 men were shocked. Before they could react, Guan Wenbao punched them one by one, knocking them down to the ground. You see, this is the kind of trash. Yan Kai shrugged his shoulders, I don't even have the mood to look at it. There must be something more exciting later. Li Fan did not relax his vigilance, this thing is not ordinary. Yan Kai, go inside and look for that Li Jun, okay? Yan Kai will definitely follow Li Fan's instructions. He tidied up his clothes and got off the car. He brushed past Guan Wenbao and walked into the service area. Ordinary people. Yes, very ordinary. Guan Wenbao nodded, the driver was scared away. Why isn't Yan Kai out yet? Li Fan glanced in the direction of the service station, and the uneasiness in his heart grew stronger. At this moment, a wall of the service area was broken. 2 figures rolled out from the inside. Yan Kai was fighting with a man. Both of them seemed to be equally matched. Someone is robbing me. Li Fan gave Guan Wenbao a look, go. Yes. Li Fan still had to stay in the car and look after the box inside. This was left behind by Li Jun before he got off the car. He didn't know if this fella cared about this thing. He usually wouldn't leave it, but when he got off the car, he left it here. Li Fan had a hunch that there was something fishy going on. Li Fan had to be careful around the escort agency. The people at the service area were stunned. They saw a red-faced man carrying a crescent moon blade rushing towards 2 men covered in lime powder. They did not know what was going on. What was going on? Die, you thief! Guan Wenbao raised his crescent moon blade and descended from the sky, slashing at the man covered in lime powder. The other party did not panic. He blew a breath at Guan Wenbao, lifted the lime powder on his body, and patted it on Guan Wenbao. Guan Wenbao waved his crescent moon blade and swept the lime powder away. Then, he slashed at the other party again. Chapter 790. Guan Wenbao's martial art is the Guan family's saber technique, and the power of the Guan family's saber technique is indomitable and unstoppable. Guan Wenbao's saber carries a blazing flame, as if Pangu splitting the heavens and earth, sweeping towards the opponent. Yan Kai was taken aback. He hurriedly used an iron bridge and fell to the ground, dodging Guan Wenbao's saber. Guan Wenbao's long saber has already slashed over, but the expert who was entangled with Yan Kai coldly snorted and pushed his hands forward at the same time. The palm wind swept towards Guan Wenbao with an earth-shattering momentum. Guan Wenbao's clothes were blown away by the wind, and his entire body was frozen in the air. He was unable to slash down with his saber. Yan Kai jumped up and activated the Tai Chi force on his body. He immediately pulled the man's palm wind and released Guan Wenbao from the air. Guan Wenbao chopped down with his saber. The opponent finally retreated more than 10 meters and escaped. Bam! Guan Wenbao's saber slashed on the ground. The ground seemed to be torn apart, and a long ravine appeared. Help! Help! Li Jun ran out in panic and jumped into the GL8. He was so scared that he curled up into a ball. Help, someone wants to kill me. Don't panic, I'm here. Li Fan comforted his client and at the same time was concerned about the situation outside. The expert who suddenly appeared was wearing a white short-sleeved shirt and a ghost mask on his face. The other party did not speak, but the palm wind was powerful. Guan Wenbao and Yan Kai already knew where he came from. Ma family's startling wind. Yan Kai regained his balance and looked at the other party with shock in his eyes. You covered your face, but you can't hide your martial arts. Startling wind palm, this is your Ma family's secret technique. Yan Kai said as he patted the dust off his body. The Ma family has always been upright in the martial arts world. Why did you sneak attack us? The man wearing the grimace mask did not speak, but silently operated the true qi in his body. His clothes fluttered as if there was a gust of wind. Looks like you don't want to say it. Yan Kai looked at the masked man opposite him. Alright, that's interesting. Come, let this Taoist grandpa play with you. As Yan Kai spoke, he swung his hands, gathered his true qi within his body, and launched the Tai Chi divine exercise. The surrounding air seemed to swirl, forming a whirlpool. Yan Kai's Tai Chi divine exercise had reached a certain level, and he could already distort the surrounding air. He seemed to have an aura around him, causing the people around him to feel the pull of his power. The clothes of the Ma family's expert were pulled. He stabilized his body to prevent himself from being affected. Yan Kai's Tai Chi skill has improved again. Li Fan sat in the car and watched Yan Kai's kung fu. He couldn't help but praise him. This pervert isn't only busy with gay affairs. He still has some serious business. The grimace man's horse stance was also very stable. He stood there as though he could ignore Yan Kai's aura. This person did not make a sound. He just pressed his left hand on his waist, and his right hand slapped across the air. The powerful palm wind came rushing over like a raging storm. Yan Kai and Guan Wenbao both took the hit of the palm wind. Yan Kai was even forced to take a step back. Looking at Guan Wenbao, he did not move his feet. His feet stepped on the ground, and he held the crescent moon blade in his hand. The true qi in his body surged out and filled his body, and then poured into his crescent moon blade. A bright crescent moon blade was wrapped in red flames. Guan Wenbao actually withstood the palm wind and walked step by step towards the grimace man opposite him. Guan Wenbao slowly raised his crescent moon blade. The blade was surrounded by a grand light, and it seemed to be blazing to the extreme. Mad Dragon goes to sea. As the saying goes, output depends on roaring. Guan Wenbao roared, and the crescent moon blade in his hand slashed out. A gigantic flaming blade also descended from the sky, chopping down towards the grimace man's head. This blade from Guan Wenbao, even if it was Li Fan, he also did not dare to face it head-on. The grimace man seemed to have realized this as well. He bounced off his feet, and his entire body retreated, instantly sliding 10 meters away. But the range of the flaming blade was too large, and the blade was also a full 10 meters long. This was like the furious slash of a heavenly god, directly descending from the sky, and it still chopped solidly onto the grimace man's body. The grimace man slapped out with both palms, and the palm wind formed a windstorm, crashing onto the descending flaming blade. The palm wind and the flaming blade clashed together, clashing against each other. The grimace man forcefully turned this battle into a clash of true qi. Guan Wenbao's true qi and the grimace man's true qi clashed against each other. The difference in their inner strength was not too big, and for a moment, they were actually in a deadlock. Yan Kai stretched out his hand, but was glared at by Guan Wenbao. Yan Kai had no choice, and could only shrug his shoulders and retreat to the side. As a martial artist, when they were fighting, they absolutely did not allow outsiders to disturb them. Guan Wenbao already viewed the grimace man as his opponent, and he wanted to use his own strength to defeat him. The two people's strength clashed against each other, and Guan Wenbao's strength actually faintly took the upper hand. If this carried on, Guan Wenbao would be able to win. But the grimace man seemed to have seen that he was going to lose. He suddenly pushed with both hands, and true qi exploded in the air. The impact caused Guan Wenbao to retreat a step, and Yan Kai also covered his face. The grimace man practically urged all of his true qi to explode out with this move, and then fled in a sorry state. By the time the smoke from the true qi explosion dissipated, the grimace man had already disappeared. Guan Wenbao carried the crescent moon blade and returned to the car. Yan Kai also followed up, and looked at Li Jun with a thoughtful gaze. No, not bad. You did pretty well. When Li Jun saw that they had repelled the grimace man, he could be considered to have temporarily heaved a sigh of relief. Looks like I didn't spend my money in vain. Li Jun saw that there were some abrasions on Guan Wenbao's body, and they were all caused by the wind from the startling wind palm. But your strength is still not enough, and you actually got injured. Guan Wenbao did not utter a word, and Xia Ho was currently using alcohol to clean Guan Wenbao's wounds. When the alcohol was used on the wounds, it should be very painful, but Guan Wenbao did not even frown. Their Guan family's old ancestor could scrape bones to treat injuries, and Guan Wenbao naturally would not be inferior. Moreover, this small injury was nothing to him. How far are we from the Tianjin port? Li Fan asked. Another 5 hours. Huang Lei looked at the navigation. I'll drive faster, and we will be there in 4.5 hours. There's no rush, drive slowly. Li Fan waved his hand. This is a highway, safety first. Got it, big brother. Don't worry, Huang Lei may not have any other abilities, but driving is definitely stable. Just as Huang Lei finished speaking, he suddenly stepped on the brakes, and nearly flung Li Jun out. Fuck your grandpa, do you even know how to drive? Li Jun was just about to scold, but Huang Lei had already started scolding a truck that had suddenly slowed down outside the window. As the truck drove slower and slower, it caused Huang Lei to be impatient. Chapter 791. Be careful, the second wave is coming. Li Fan looked at the truck in front of him. I didn't expect them to come so quickly. It seems like this thing is very important. My treasure. They all want my treasure. Li Jun hugged the box again, hugging it tightly, not wanting to let go. Even Li Fan was a little curious as to what was inside the box. The truck kept forcing Huang Lei to change lanes. In the end, Huang Lei's GL8 had no choice but to turn into the emergency lane on the side. The truck suddenly slammed on the brakes and directly stopped the car on the road, completely blocking the road. Huang Lei quickly turned the steering wheel and the car immediately turned around. It slid out horizontally and stuck to the truck in front of him. Li Jun was so scared that he almost peed his pants. At this time, Yan Kai had already jumped out of the open window and jumped out of the car. Then, he used both hands to support the commercial vehicle and flipped around to remove the force from the car. Then, he steadily placed the car on the ground. Bang, bang, bang. A few people jumped down from above. Each of them was wearing a ghost mask and holding a machete in their hands. They descended from the sky and landed on the roof of the car. These people seemed to have extraordinary skills. The long sabers in their hands pierced through the roof of the car. Looking at the few shining long sabers, Li Jun's entire body trembled as he curled up into a ball. Save me. Li Fan directly slapped the roof of the car with his palm. Bam! A strong burst of true energy erupted from the roof of the car, directly sending the scattered saber-wielders flying. The 3 saber-wielders somersaulted in the air, then dropped down again. Their long sabers were prepared to cut the car into 3 pieces. However, Yan Kai would not give them the chance. He stood there and with a tug of his hands, the 2 saber-wielders were directly pulled down from the air and fell to the ground. The other saber-wielder had already guessed Li Jun's position in the car from his voice and slashed down. However, Guan Wenbao had already stepped out of the car and raised the crescent blade in his hand. The blade pierced through the saber-wielding man's shoulder and came out from his back. With a wave of Guan Wenbao, the saber-wielding man's arm flew away. The scene was a little bloody, and Li Jun directly vomited. With a wave of his hand, Li Fan wrapped Li Jun's filth with his chi and threw it outside, slapping it on the mask of a knife-wielding man. It was clearly just some filth, but it shook the knife-wielding man's head, causing him to suffer internal injuries. His entire body flew out and fell far away. Since they are here to snatch the darts, why didn't they send some powerful people? Li Fan was slightly disappointed. But at this moment, a figure suddenly descended from the sky. This person carried 2 long sabers on his back. As he descended, he pulled out the 2 long sabers and waved them in the direction of the car. Yan Kai immediately stepped forward and revolved his Jinchi to form a Taiji shield, blocking the car. Bang! The car shook heavily, and Yan Kai's Taiji shield was broken, causing him to vomit a mouthful of blood. As for the truck behind, it was directly cut into 3 pieces. Water-breaking saber. Seeing this saber technique, Guan Wenbao frowned. Water-breaking saber and Ma family's startling wind palm, although their martial arts were not bad, they could not be called peerless martial arts. Especially the people who practiced these martial arts. They were not considered experts, and no one had such tyrannical strength. Who were they, and why would they appear here? Guan Wenbao fell into deep thought. This kind of thinking was a little difficult for him. Li Fan also sat in the car, holding his chin as he looked at this brother who was carrying 2 sabers. Interesting. Li Fan muttered. He was beginning to be interested in these people. To have such strength, they were definitely not ordinary martial artists. They should be some powerful organization. Li Fan thought for a moment. In the pugilistic world, which organizations could have so many experts? Devil Cult, Imperial Secret Service, 2 great families, for major alliances. However, if these people appeared, they did not need to change their appearance, right? They even got a ghost mask, and it was even a bull's head. It was really pretending to be mysterious. As for the man carrying the 2 sabers, he also wore a ghost mask, like a ghost from the netherworld. Suddenly, he spun his body and slashed horizontally at Li Fan's car. The saber swept horizontally, and Yan Kai used Taiji skill again to barely block it. Guan Wenbao no longer hesitated. He immediately jumped up, spun his body, and swung the Yenhua saber in his hand. Mad Dragon goes to sea. The saber was covered in flames, and it went straight for the expert from the water-breaking saber sect. The other party wore a bull's head mask, and he swung both sabers at the same time. The sharp saber energy collided with Guan Wenbao's Yenhua saber. Clang! The 2 sabers trembled at the same time. Guan Wenbao's saber pressed down, and the bull's head mask man knelt on the ground, crushing the ground. As expected of old Guan, Li Fan was very emotional. Guan Wenbao was the most diligent among them, and now his strength had reached a certain level. He and Yan Kai had already reached the peak of strength, and were slowly moving towards the Grandmaster level. Li Fan believed that it would not be long before their strength would be at the same level as his. Li Fan had confidence in them. Therefore, he stood there and did not make a move. He only watched Yan Kai and Guan Wenbao fight the bull's head mask man. Guan Wenbao's eyes seemed to be burning with flames. He roared loudly and pressed down with his long saber, using it to forcibly break the bull's two long sabers. The bull's head mask man lay on the ground. He pushed with both hands, and his whole body slid backward, dodging Guan Wenbao's last slash. Guan Wenbao and Yan Kai, one attacking and one defending, were quite good together. The opponent was clearly an expert, but he was defeated by the two of them. But at this moment, more than 10 chains were suddenly thrown down from the side of the mountain, and hooked onto the GL8 car. Li Fan frowned. Before he could do anything, the car was hooked up. The car was pulled up the 10-meter high hill just like that. Guan Wenbao and Yan Kai looked up at the same time, preparing to chase. But a few saber-wielders jumped down from both sides and surrounded them, not allowing them to make any movements. At this time, Li Jun was scared out of his wits. He hugged the box in his arms and stared blankly out of the car window. Outside was a hill, and God knows how many saber-wielders were standing on it, surrounding them. Li Fan did a rough count, and there were about 100 people. In this pugilistic world, which sect or force could casually send so many people? In Li Fan's guess, these people surrounded the car so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. Li Jun was already so scared that he was about to cry. He knelt on the ground and hugged Li Fan's thigh, begging for help. Quick! You are the escort. You took the money, so you have to protect me and my baby. I know, just leave this to me. Chapter 792. Although there were more than 100 people on the other side, to Li Fan, it was the same as nothing. Only an expert could pique Li Fan's interest. He left the car and walked outside, looking at the more than 100 machete men in front of him. Everyone, I'm sorry. Today, I'm escorting an escort. I hope you can give me some face and not make things difficult for our Fiefan escort agency. The 100 armed men did not speak. All of them wore devil masks and carried long sabers as they slowly walked towards Li Fan. They were like a group of robots. The aura they exuded was very similar to Li Fan's. As the other party approached, Li Fan sighed. If that's the case, don't blame me for being rude. As he spoke, Li Fan suddenly raised his right hand and pushed at the armed men in front of him. 3,000 worlds. The vital energy in Li Fan's palm enveloped the bodies of more than 100 people, lifting them up in an instant. At the same time, Li Fan controlled his vital energy and tore off their arms in midair. It was a bloody scene. None of the armed men escaped the tragedy of having their arms torn off. By the time they were thrown down, they were already drenched in blood. Li Jun saw this scene through the car window. His body trembled and his mind went blank. This is too scary. The escort I hired is actually so fierce. Heavens, I've really struck it rich this time. Li Jun was overjoyed. As for Li Fan, he could not help but sigh as he looked at the armed men in front of him. The sin he had committed this time was too great. However, he was an escort agency. Escorting escorts was his job. He had already warned them. They were the ones who asked for it, so they could not blame him. Sir, your martial arts are indeed good. At this moment, someone finally spoke. A man slowly stood up from the crowd, his body stained with blood. However, his arms were unscathed. Clearly, he had not been hit by Li Fan's 3,000 worlds. Li Fan looked at this man with interest. He was wearing a black coat and a black Zhong Kuei mask, giving off a very strange aura. Who are you? Li Fan directly asked for the other party's name. You don't need to know who I am. The other party said slowly, you just need to understand that what you have is mine. The other party's overbearing manner made Li Fan laugh. Bro, if you want to take something from me, you have to ask my fist first. Li Fan, don't think that you're invincible. Others might be afraid of you, little tyrant, but I'm not. As he spoke, he stretched out his hand and pointed at Li Fan. Today is the day you die. Ah, so are you going to kill me or rob me? Neither of them will delay you. Die. As he spoke, he charged at Li Fan. Li Fan raised his right hand, wanting to use his true chi to control the rampaging man. However, he didn't know what kind of martial arts the other party had. He actually broke through Li Fan's true chi and directly pounced in front of him. Li Fan was taken aback. This person's strength was not small. If he had to describe him, he was simply a terrifying brute. Li Fan immediately raised his left hand and struck out with his palm. The power was also extremely strong. However, the other party actually used his own body to block his palm. Bam! A cloud of smoke rose up, almost sending Li Fan flying. He infused his true chi into his legs and sank down. It was as if his feet were rooted to the ground, firmly rooted to the ground. Fortunately, his martial arts were strong, otherwise, he would really have suffered a loss. The other party's body was very sturdy. Unlike Bodhi, this person's strength was like a sponge, constantly dissolving Li Fan's strength. This was the first time Li Fan had seen this kind of ability. What surprised Li Fan the most was that this person actually absorbed his strength and then punched him. Li Fan hurriedly stretched out his hands and blocked the other party's punch. Bam! Li Fan felt that he was sent flying by his own strength. He flew backward for 3 to 4 meters and landed in front of the MPV. He looked at the masked man in front of him in surprise because what this guy had just displayed was Tai Chi. However, Li Fan had never met anyone with such a strong Tai Chi Kung Fu. Even Yan Kai's Tai Chi Kung Fu was not this good. It was simply natural. Therefore, Li Fan was very shocked. Who was this person who had such an exquisite Tai Chi Kung Fu? Are you a Wudang expert? Li Fan asked. Wudang? Who the hell is that? The other party sneered. I'll let you know what true terror is. As he said that, the other party stepped on Wudang's cloud ladder and jumped directly into the air. Then, he descended from the sky and launched an attack. Li Fan raised his palm and met the falling Zhong Kuei masked man's palm. The other party's palm absorbed his true chi, and then reversed from his hand to meet Li Fan's palm. Boom! The GL-8 was almost thrown off the hill by the shockwave. Fortunately, Li Fan reached out with his other hand and grabbed the car door, holding the car back. At the same time, his internal organs were also injured and he spat out a mouthful of blood. It was not appropriate to hit him like this. Even if he used the Qilin palm, he would be the one at a disadvantage in the end. However, it was not that there was no way at all. Li Fan could still try to use true chi to deal with him. Li Fan kicked the GL-8 behind him. Li Jun fell down along with the MPV, causing him to scream in shock. However, after the car fell, Yan Kai caught it firmly and placed it on the emergency lane. Li Fan also had time to fight with the Zhong Kuei masked man. He took 2 steps back, adjusted his breathing, and stabilized his injuries. Then, he said, Come, let's fight for 300 rounds. Okay, I'll kill you and get the treasure. The Zhong Kuei masked man said as he leaped toward Li Fan again. The man's cloud ladder was very smooth. Even if Li Fan wanted to dodge, he could not. However, Li Fan did not dodge. Instead, a huge god of war popped out from behind him and slapped the Zhong Kuei masked man away. As if swatting a fly, the Zhong Kuei masked man was sent flying. He spun in the air and broke 3 or 4 trees in a row before rolling into the forest, kicking up a lot of dust. That's all. Li Fan stood there with his arms crossed. Behind him was the proud god of war. Your so-called strength is not even worth mentioning. The other party was also very surprised. He did not expect Li Fan to be able to send him flying with a single slap. If he did not get close to Li Fan, his Tai Chi skill would not be effective. This time, they had more or less miscalculated. They did not expect Li Jun to hire phenomenal escort agency. Chapter 793. Although the extraordinary escort agency was banned by Murong Bo in the martial arts world, the strength of this escort agency was still obvious to all. Little Tyrant Li Fan, Shaolin Golden Monk Bodhi, Guan Wenbao, the eldest disciple of the Wu clan, Yan Kai. There was also Chen Junhua, the genius swordsman who came down from Mount Hua to train, and the former 12 saints of the Dragon Hall, and the current 11 cavalrymen of Yanjing. These people were absolute combat strength. If possible, no one wanted to mess with Primeval Security Agency. Whoever messed with them would be unlucky. The escort agency was a group of fiends, who would want to be enemies with them. But the item must be taken. The man in the Zhongkue mask leaped up again and quickly approached Li Fan. With his skill, he had to stick close to Li Fan. Although he and Yan Kai both practiced Taiji, they were in different directions. Yan Kai focused on Yin Taiji, while he focused on Yang Taiji. Yin Taiji focused on the circulation of qi, while Yang Taiji focused on the counter of qi. As the saying went, Yin and Yang were two extremes that complemented each other. However, among the disciples of Wudang sect, there were very few who could cultivate both Yin and Yang qi to the acme of perfection. Usually, they would choose one of them to cultivate. Yang Taiji had to be close to one's body to be effective. Zhongkue thought that he was invincible in close combat. As long as he could get close, he could defeat this so-called little tyrant. Zhongkue approached quickly, but Li Fan was expressionless. Behind him, the great god of war waved his hand and sent Zhongkue, who was approaching him, flying again. The man fell to the ground in a sorry state and looked up at Li Fan again, feeling a little angry. I'll kill you. I've seen through your attack method. Li Fan was very calm. I'll defeat you in 3 moves. Nonsense. Zhongkue was furious. Little Tyrant had already announced 3 moves, and according to the information, he had never made a mistake. It was impossible for him to make a mistake. Absolutely impossible. Zhongkue decided to change his approach. His gaze fell on the SUV below. Using Qinggong, he leaped down and pounced on the MPV. He was like an eagle descending from the sky. Where do you think you're going? Standing on the hillside, Li Fan extended his hand and made a grabbing motion. The vital qi transformed into a giant arm and immediately grabbed Zhongkue's body, yanked him back, and threw him back onto the hillside. Zhongkue nearly broke down. Was he still unable to escape? Bang! Li Fan stomped on him, sending him crashing into the ground. Speak, which organization are you from? Li Fan questioned. Ha 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 ha. Unexpectedly, the man named Zhongkue burst into laughter. Li Fan, if I can't get it, don't even think of living. Li Fan suddenly felt that something was wrong. This person seemed to have some kind of terrifying aura, which made Li Fan's hair stand on end. He didn't dare to hesitate. He immediately kicked the man away. Zhongkue's body flew into the air. Suddenly, the heavenly demon disintegrated, and his vital energy exploded. The terrifying vital energy seemed to devour everything. Several trees on the surrounding hillside were affected and torn into pieces by the vital energy. Li Fan was wearing the golden armor, which allowed him to barely block the attack of the vital energy explosion. The man named Zhongkue exploded to the point that even his flesh was gone. How terrifying! Who is this guy? Is he crazy? Li Fan could kill without batting an eyelid, but he couldn't sacrifice everything, including his own life, for a certain belief. What kind of organization is this? Why is it like a cult? Li Fan recalled that the cult was like that too, where everyone was willing to die for Li Wei. Such people were really terrifying. Li Fan looked at the scorched land around him and couldn't help but feel a lingering fear. Who are these people? Why are they so powerful? Yan Kai patted the dust off his body and looked at the messy road in front of him. When did such an organization appear in the underworld? I don't know, I've never heard of it. Guan Wenbao shook off the blood on his sword. He couldn't help but take out some gold sore medicine and distribute it to the killers on the ground. Are you crazy? Luo Xiaofeng worked hard to refine this gold sore medicine. Why are you giving it to them? They've already lost their arms. If we don't stop the bleeding, I'm afraid they'll die. Guan Wenbao answered. Retard, you retard. Idiot. Yan Kai was so angry that he almost laughed. They're all enemies. How can you show mercy to your enemies? Their martial arts have been crippled, so they can't be considered enemies. You retard. Yan Kai looked like he was about to die of anger. Okay, stop arguing, you two. Hurry up and get going. Li Fan looked at the sky. It's getting late. It won't be safe if we leave any later. Tianjin port is not the end. Actually, the end is, Li Jun mentioned a place, and Li Fan and the rest looked at each other. On the ancient road of camel and horse? You dare to play with me? Yan Kai grabbed Li Jun. His eyes flashed with ominous light, making Li Jun tremble in fear. Don't worry, don't worry. I'll pay more. Li Jun trembled with fear and didn't dare to look directly at Yan Kai's eyes. Is this a matter of paying more? Yan Kai was quite angry. You're cheating us. Is this a breach of contract? Guan Wenbao asked. Li Fan nodded. Then throw him here. The advance payment is not refundable. Guan Wenbao said as he opened the door and lifted Li Jun out of the car as if he was going to throw him down. Huang Lei, while driving, added oil to the fire. I knew this kid is not a good thing. Quickly throw him away. The money he gave is not enough to repair the car. Guys, don't. I was wrong, I really know I was wrong. Please don't throw me down. Li Jun's legs trembled as he desperately begged for mercy. Li Fan then waved his hand. Guan Wenbao pulled Li Jun back and threw him into the car. Tell me, how much more? Li Fan asked. 20,000. Li Jun stretched out 2 fingers. Li Fan sneered. Throw him out. Don't. 20,000 is too little. How much do you want? Li Jun asked while trembling with fear. At least 200,000. Li Fan's words almost made Li Jun wet his pants. You're asking for too much. I'm asking for too much. Li Fan squinted his eyes. Do you know what the Luoma ancient road looks like? Do you know it's not allowed to drive there? We can get there by car, but we have to walk for another day. Can you pay for the expenses here? I'm not good. But 200,000 is too much. I don't have that much money. Li Jun rolled his eyes. Let's give a discount, 100,000. What do you think? Throw him down. Li Fan dug his ears. If not for taking orders, he would not be short of 100,000 or 200,000. Chapter 794. Throw it down. Li Fan was impatient. Trying to bargain with him was simply courting death. Li Jun was about to collapse. 200,000 it is. Li Jun hurriedly agreed. 200,000 was just now. Now it's 300,000. Li Fan stretched out 3 fingers, and Li Jun directly peed. Are you kidding me? 5 seconds later, 400,000. 300,000. I agree. Alright, transfer. Li Fan took out his phone. Transfer it to Alipay. Big brother, Alipay has a limit. One card can at most 200,000 a month. Huang Lei hurriedly reminded Li Fan. It's fine. Let him think of a way to transfer 2 cards. Li Fan smiled. If we don't see the money, we'll throw him and his goods onto the road. Li Jun obediently took out his phone and transferred the money to Li Fan. From now on, you must stay close to me. Li Fan instructed Li Jun. Got it. Li Jun nodded. Now that it was related to his life, how could he dare to be negligent? Forget about his life, the most important thing was his treasures. This treasure belonged to him. No one could snatch it away. Li Jun's eyes almost turned red. As long as the treasure was here, 200,000 or 300,000 was a small amount. After experiencing 2 bumps in the road, the rest of the journey was easy. Li Fan and his group drove all the way to the vicinity of Tianjin and then chose to walk to Luoma Ancient Road. Luoma Ancient Road had a different meaning. It was a passage for martial artists, from Nantong to the north. Since ancient times, motor vehicles were not allowed to enter Luoma Ancient Road because it was a cultural protection area. Vehicles would damage the cultural and historical environment here. When they arrived at Luoma Ancient Road, they could either ride a horse or walk. Li Fan and his group first rented a carriage and prepared to follow this ancient road to the place where Li Jun wanted to go. Li Fan and his group were curious about what Li Jun was transporting, and why did he have to come to Luoma Ancient Road. At Luoma Ancient Road, the law no longer existed. Over here, the rules of the underworld were everything. If it weren't for the mysterious and dangerous people who wandered around, this place would have been a place with beautiful scenery and a rich cultural atmosphere. The entire Luoma Ancient Road was filled with ancient buildings, dazzling Li Jun's eyes. Following Li Fan and the others, Li Jun didn't have any fear. Instead, he became interested and took pictures with his mobile phone. Happy? Huang Lei asked. Yes. Happy my ass. Huang Lei cursed, damn it, I've got hemorrhoids recently, and now I have to drive a horse for you. Huang Lei sat on the stiff wooden board of the carriage. His buttocks hurt, and he couldn't help but curse. Li Jun didn't dare to say anything. He just silently put away his phone. Luoma Ancient Road is a good place. Li Fan sat in the carriage and looked at the ancient road around him. He carefully observed the people of Jianghu around him. On the ancient path of the camel and horse, there was no need to be surprised to see people carrying swords or sabers on their backs. Because here, everything was legal. There's still over 10 kilometers to our destination. Huang Lei complained, how crippled will my buttocks be? I feel like I'm going to bleed soon. Yan Kai's eyes lit up. He glanced at Guan Wenbao beside him. Old Guan, do you have hemorrhoids? Do you need me to apply some medicine for you? Scram! Guan Wenbao cursed in anger. Yan Kai, why don't you apply some medicine for me? Huang Lei begged bitterly. Scram! This time, Yan Kai glared at Huang Lei. Fuck, this is discrimination. Huang Lei complained and was nearly kicked off the carriage by Yan Kai. Stop messing around. Pay attention to the surroundings. Li Fan sat in the carriage and looked around with a gloomy expression on his face. He had a bad premonition and hoped that everything would go smoothly. He didn't know how Chen Junhua and the others were doing at home. If anything happened, with Chen Junhua and Mr. Big Dipper around, there shouldn't be any problems. However, Li Fan was worried about Jiang Feng. He didn't know how that kid was progressing. Forget it. I won't think about him. My escort agency still needs to operate properly. Li Fan slapped his cheeks and organized his thoughts. Many rangers were hurrying on their way, all of them in a hurry. No one knew where they were headed. Some rangers carried swords on their backs and wore short robes or long robes. Their steps were light and quick, leaving a trail of dust behind them. Some rode on warhorses, looking extraordinary and mighty. They whipped their horses and left like a gust of wind. This was the ancient camel road, a pugilistic world that belonged to the pugilistic world. Just as Li Fan and the others were on their way, a convoy suddenly appeared in front of them. The convoy was very long. Just the carriages alone numbered over 30. In the middle, there was an 8-bearer sedan chair. Clearly, Someone was getting married. In the pugilistic world, when some aristocratic families married, they would definitely use an 8-bearer sedan chair and walk through the ancient camel road. This was the rule of the pugilistic world. In the pugilistic world, other than the Murong and Sima families, there were other families with long histories. These people were holding flags with their surnames printed on them. The red flags had the word Yang written on them. Yang family. There were many families with the surname Yang in the pugilistic world. No one knew which one this was. This large group of people wore red clothes and flowers as they blew and beat along the way. It was very lively. Make way for them. Li Fan gestured for Huang Lei to make way. Huang Lei pulled on the reins and made the horse turn around. But at this moment, a group of people suddenly surrounded this place. Li Fan and the others frowned. Li Jun even shrunk into a ball in the carriage. Heavens, heavens, they're here again. Li Jun trembled. Li Fan placed a hand on his shoulder. Hide here. No one can hurt you. Okay, Li Jun nodded. He really didn't dare to step out of the carriage. The people surrounding them looked like servants. Each of them had a fierce look on their faces and were holding water and fire rods in their hands. Get off. The man in the lead was wearing a butler's robe. He looked a little arrogant as he roared at the wedding procession. Hurry up and get off for this master. A man in his 50s slowly dismounted from the horse. He looked at the butler in front of him and cupped his hands. This friend, why are you blocking my family's way? This man was very polite as he asked the other party politely. Not only am I blocking you, I am also bringing your family away. My family? The man was a little puzzled. It's your family's young lady. Our young master has taken a fancy to your family's young lady. Quickly hand her over and let us take her away. Otherwise, we will wash your Yang family with blood. When the man from the Yang family heard this, he immediately broke out in a cold sweat. There were no less than 100 men standing in front of them. Each of them looked fierce as if they didn't want to let them go. Now, what should they do? Chapter 795. A group of deranged men surrounded the Yang family's wedding procession. The Yang family's person in charge of the wedding procession is called Yang Naicheng. He is the young Mrs. Uncle, but his strength is relatively low. His popularity in the pugilistic world is not bad, and he is quite capable. That's why he is accompanying the wedding procession. According to the agreement, the groom will be waiting for them at Flying Flower Town in front of Luoma Ancient Road. But if that's the case, they will not be able to get close to Flying Flower Town. This friend, I'm sorry, such an auspicious day cannot be delayed. Please make way. Yang Naicheng makes his last effort, but the other party only chuckles. Old man, looks like you don't understand. Let me tell you, my family's young master is Fang Long. Young Master Fang. Hearing this name, Yang Naicheng's face is covered with sweat. The Fang family is a famous family in the pugilistic world, especially on Luoma Ancient Road. Many businesses on Luoma Ancient Road are owned by the Fang family. A long time ago, Luoma Ancient Road even collected tolls, but the Fang family's patriarch waved his hand and said that they don't need tolls anymore. Because of this, many people respect the Fang family and think that they are righteous. At that time, the Fang family's patriarch was very benevolent. But in this generation, it is indeed not worth mentioning. Li Jun heaves a sigh of relief, so they are not looking for us. That's great, then let's go. Guan Wenbao frowns and looks at Li Jun. Yan Kai shrugs his shoulders. This time, I think Li Jun is right. Them kidnapping the bride is their matter, it has nothing to do with us. Seeing injustice on the road, I should help. Guan Wenbao says without hesitation. Help my ass. Yan Kai rolls his eyes. You know what's going on, yet you help them. I think you are indeed like a pig. Guan Wenbao silently picks up his crescent blade. Old Guan, this time he is right. Li Fan holds Guan Wenbao's hand. We are escorts, our priority is to protect the goods. Guan Wenbao could ignore the words of others. However, Guan Wenbao would definitely listen to Li Fan's words. He could only put down the crescent blade in his hand. He did not make a sound, but his expression was slightly uncomfortable. Li Fan understood him. Guan Wenbao's personality had always been upright. When he encountered such a thing, he would definitely not let it go. However, escorting was escorting, and that was the rule of escorting. Escorting was the most important thing, and nothing else mattered. Li Jun also heaved a sigh of relief. This was good, as long as they could leave this place. To him, treasures were the most important. Huang Lei shook the reins and prepared to leave. But at this time, that Fang family's butlers stopped their carriage. "Where are you going?" "Just passing by." Huang Lei said, "My friends, I'm sorry. Please excuse me." "Who's your friend?" "Get off the carriage." The butler roared, "Otherwise, I'll chop you to death." "Hey, are you retarded? Your grudges with others, what does it have to do with me?" Huang Lei was about to curse but was stopped by Li Fan. Then he said to the butler who was about to lose his temper. "Sorry, my friend's words were impulsive. However, your grudges in the pugilistic world have nothing to do with us. Please excuse us." Li Fan maintained his politeness. "Less nonsense. Everyone here today, no one can escape. If you don't hand over this family's young miss, you will all die." The butler was extremely arrogant. Huang Lei was about to explode from anger, and Guan Wenbao just happened to carry his crescent blade and jump down from the carriage. "Benefactor, is this enough?" Li Fan nodded. Guan Wenbao was immediately overjoyed. "Thank you, benefactor." "Yo, kid, you want to stand out?" The butler laughed and twirled his blade. "On this Luo Ma ancient road, no one dares to challenge our Fang family. Grandpa's blade does not kill nameless ghosts. Come, come, come. Kid, report your name." "Guan family, Guan Wenbao." Guan Wenbao picked up his crescent blade and reported his name. "Che, I was wondering who it was." "Isn't it Guan?" Just as he finished speaking, the butler suddenly froze. A thug at the side nudged him lightly and said in a low voice, "Guan, butler, seems to be that Guan Wenbao ah." "Nonsense. I don't need you to say it, I know." The butler kicked that thug to the side. Scram. Although Guan Wenbao was straightforward, he was not an idiot. He knew that he could not give this butler a chance to continue speaking. He held his crescent blade and stepped forward, preparing to kill this group of thieves. But the butler was faster and blurted out, "Don't do it. It was my misunderstanding." Guan Wenbao gritted his teeth and forcibly held back his large blade. This crescent blade hovered above the butler's head. It carried a trace of heat, but the butler's back was covered in cold sweat. "Everyone, this is Fifan Escort Agency ah?" The butler cupped his hands and asked. "Yes." Li Fan sat on the carriage and looked at the Fang family's butler. "Fifan Escort Agency is here to escort. Friends of the pugilistic world, please make way." Then why don't you hang an escort flag ah? The butler thought in his heart, "You really can't blame me ah." If this group of people did not hang an escort flag, how would he know that it was Fifan Escort Agency ah? "Hidden escort." Li Fan replied faintly. The butler did not dare to say anything else. He obediently waved his hand and asked his men to make way. "Quick, let them pass. They are just passing by, why are you stopping them?" As the butler spoke, he slapped another thug. That thug felt very wronged and thought in his heart, "What does this have to do with me?" But he only thought in his heart and did not dare to say it out loud. "All right, let's go." Li Fan let Huang Lei drive the carriage away. Guan Wenbao could only sigh, put away his long blade, and prepared to leave. But at this moment, the 8-bearer sedan chair landed on the ground. A woman wearing a phoenix coronet and a red robe stumbled out and quickly ran towards Guan Wenbao. She ran in front of Guan Wenbao. Her whole body was like a red flame, but she looked so fragile as if she would be extinguished with a touch. She passed through the crowd, ran past the dumbfounded second uncle, and knelt down in front of Guan Wenbao. Mr. Guan, young hero Guan, please save this little girl. Li Fan's heart sank, and he thought, this is bad. Oh my god, Yan Kai also trembled, this is bad. Please get up first. Guan Wenbao hurriedly bent down and helped the woman up. The bride ran so fast that her red veil fell off, revealing a delicate and pretty face. She looked a little fragile. She staggered forward on her pair of small feet and almost fell into Guan Wenbao's arms. But she blushed and gently pushed Guan Wenbao away, and quickly apologized. I'm sorry, this little girl's body is weak, and I've offended you. It's fine, just stand up. Guan Wenbao could not tell if he was blushing or not, because he was blushing to begin with. Chapter 796. I've always heard that young hero Guan is benevolent and righteous. Young hero Guan, please save this little girl. The bride's eyes were red and misty with tears. There was a kind of irresistible beauty in her eyes. Hey, who asked you to say that? Just as the butler was about to berate him, Yan Kai stepped forward and stopped him. Although Yan Kai didn't like Guan Wenbao to meddle in other people's business, he unconditionally stood on Guan Wenbao's side now that things had reached this stage. Young hero Guan, this little girl was going to marry Silang of East Mountain, but the Fang family is too overbearing. Their young master, Fang Long, took a fancy to this little girl and didn't let this little girl marry. As she spoke, the bride started to cry. This weeping beauty crushed Guan Wenbao's heart. Don't cry. I'm here today. Let's see who dares to touch you. Guan Wenbao was also angry. He shook his clothes, picked up his crescent blade, and held it horizontally in front of him. He looked angrily at the Fang family's thugs. The butler saw that today wouldn't be a good day. He immediately put away his politeness and frowned like two scimitars. Guan Wenbao, I think you're the one who doesn't want face. I gave you some face, but you're stepping on the floor for me. Do you really think my Fang family is a soft persimmon? Good, then don't blame my Fang family for being merciless. The butler turned hostile and waved his hand. More than 100 thugs behind him raised their eye-length rods and roared at the same time. Ha! More than 100 people wearing the same clothes, holding the same weapons, and roaring the same roar. For a moment, they were so imposing that even Guan Wenbao frowned slightly. Yang family, Fifan escort agency, none of you can leave today. Didn't you want to meddle in other people's business? I'll let you know the consequences of meddling. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. It seemed like he had to meddle in this matter until the end. Hey, how can you do this? Shouldn't you focus on protecting the goods? Li Jun pulled Li Fan and shouted. Wait a moment. Li Fan tried to comfort Li Jun, but Li Jun kept shouting. Benefactor. Let me come here alone. Take the bodyguards and leave first. Guan Wenbao's shout reached Li Fan's ears. However, Li Fan didn't leave. He just stood there, facing over 100 thugs without a trace of fear on his face. It was as if these 100 or so thugs were nothing to him. Since we've already come to this point, we can't do anything about it. Li Fan sat on the carriage and played with his extraordinary sword as he looked at the Fang clan's thugs. Yan Kai, old Guan, hurry up. Don't delay the delivery. Yes. Guan Wenbao was a little happy. He was in high spirits, and his fighting spirit seemed to be surging. Qi flowed through Guan Wenbao's palm and into the crescent blade, causing the crescent blade to emit a dazzling red radiance. Guan Wenbao's control over his qi was getting better and better. Now, he could freely let his qi enter the weapon, greatly strengthening the weapon's combat ability. However, for people like Li Fan, Imperial Consort Zhou, or Muro Ying, who could directly use qi as a weapon, Guan Wenbao couldn't do it. Guan Wenbao, Li Fan, your extraordinary escort agency is too much. The Fang clan's butler roared. Li Fan couldn't help but laugh. Brother, did I hear wrongly? You said we are overbearing? Li Fan couldn't help but laugh. This was the first time he met such a person. His face was too thick. Is that so? Then what do you want to do? Li Fan asked. You should know some etiquette. Leave obediently. The Fang clan's butler immediately said, As for me, I am a reasonable person. I can reluctantly let you leave. The bride became nervous again and tugged on Guan Wenbao's sleeves, causing Guan Wenbao to feel a little embarrassed. No need. My extraordinary escort agency doesn't like to force others to do things that are difficult for them. Li Fan sat in the carriage and said slowly, Since you don't want to give way, we will open a path ourselves. He waved his hand, Old Guan, open a path. Okay. The butler felt hatred in his heart. This group of people really wanted to start a fight. Looking at the situation, the other party only had 3 people who could fight. The remaining 2 were just ordinary people. Fang clan's thugs were all specially trained high-level thugs. It shouldn't be hard for them to deal with 3 experts who had reached the great heights. The butler weighed the pros and cons. His eyes rolled a few times before saying, Okay. Since someone wants to provoke our Fang clan on the Luo Ma ancient path, then Fang clan will accept it. Once the Fang clan's people said it, the meaning seemed to have changed. Right and wrong were completely reversed. Less nonsense. Open a path. Guan Wenbao had already waved his crescent blade. With a strong flame, he swept away an army of 1,000. Guan Wenbao was very strong on the horse. Guan Wenbao, who was riding the horse, was also a fierce general who could hold the pass against 10,000 people. 10 thugs stepped forward together and swung their eye-length rods towards Guan Wenbao. It was as though they were subduing a fierce tiger. Their rods were powerful and methodical. It could be seen that it was not without reason that the Fang clan dominated the Luo Ma ancient path. However, Guan Wenbao was Guan Wenbao. He raised his crescent blade horizontally and blocked in front of him, forcefully blocking the 10 eye-length rods. His strength was originally stronger than the others. Now that he pushed with force, the 10 people were sent flying and fell to the ground. The people behind stretched out their eye-length rods and blocked the 10 people. Oh. Li Fan's eyes lit up, a formation not bad. At least you know your stuff. The butler said fiercely, This is our Fang clan's long snake rod formation. With just the 3 of you, you are not our match. Not necessarily, right? Li Fan only had a smile on his face without any fear. The butler was displeased. He must let this man know fear. Everyone had to obey Fang clan's prestige. Furthermore, young master said that if he couldn't catch this little girl, he didn't need to go back. There was a new servant girl in the Fang residence. She was very pretty, and the butler was anxious to go back and fuck her. The more he thought about that servant girl's long legs, the more anxious he felt. Quick, 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 kill all of these people. Then snatch the bride and go back. Young master said that when we return, we will be heavily rewarded. This sentence caused these thugs' emotions to rise again. Who wouldn't be happy to get money? Driven by benefits, these thugs acted as though they had taken stimulants and charged towards Guan Wenbao and the others. The bride was slightly afraid and her body trembled slightly. Guan Wenbao immediately protected her behind him. Hide behind me. And, the bride obediently stood behind Guan Wenbao, but she couldn't help but poke her head out to look at the situation outside. Chapter 797. Guan Wenbao used his body to protect the bride and at the same time, he held his Yenhua blade as he glared at the incoming thugs. He brandished his long blade and continuously sent the thugs in front of him flying. And these thugs were endless. Whenever one of his companions was sent flying, he would use his long rod to catch them, reducing the damage they suffered. And when Guan Wenbao wanted to use a killing move, a few thugs would hand out their long rods and block Guan Wenbao's long blade, preventing him from using his blade. In this way, Guan Wenbao was a little annoyed. Guan Wenbao felt that the other party was simply using a hoodlum's fighting style. It was very annoying. And Yan Kai stood beside the escort carriage, protecting it from the thugs' influence. Li Fan sat on the carriage, quietly watching the show. No matter how foul the atmosphere outside was, he would not leave the escort carriage even half a step. To an escort, everything else was a small matter, only the escort was the master. Guan Wenbao could be a little willful, but Li Fan could not, he was the head escort. A head escort's responsibility was to protect his own escorts. Li Fan only watched them fight and did not leave the carriage. Two thugs charged towards the escort carriage and were slapped to the ground by Yan Kai. The steward was slightly angry. Although the long snake rod formation was more powerful, it was still unable to do anything to these people. If this went on, where would their Fong family's face be? A group of people go and flip the escort carriage for me. The steward shouted loudly and immediately 20 thugs carrying their eye-length rods rushed towards the escort carriage. They are here. Li Jun also screamed at the top of his lungs. Li Fan pressed him down, don't be impatient. Yan Kai stood there, every thug that came in front of him was sent flying by his taiji push hand. 10 thugs simultaneously took out their eye-length rods and blocked Yan Kai. But Yan Kai only smiled. He was originally a handsome man, this smile was enough to topple any woman. Unfortunately, other than the bride, there was only an old matchmaker looking at him. The matchmaker instantly turned into a fangirl as she stared at Yan Kai with sparkling eyes. His Tai Chi force burst out, and the 10 thugs were directly sent flying, falling heavily to the ground. With Yan Kai around, these people wouldn't be able to get close. Who dares to approach this place? Yan Kai proudly said, if you don't want to die, you can try again. With Yan Kai's Tai Chi skill, no one could get close to him. The rest of the thugs were in a dilemma. Their long snake array seemed to be ineffective against Yan Kai. Yan Kai's kung fu was the opposite of Guan Wenbao's. Guan Wenbao's kung fu was of extreme yang. His strength was superb, and his kung fu was unrestrained. It was as if one man could hold the pass against 10,000 enemies. Yan Kai, on the other hand, was extremely yin, using softness to overcome hardness. Therefore, if the two of them were to really fight, Guan Wenbao would always be at a disadvantage because of Yan Kai. And this long snake array was a yin formation, specially used to restrain masculine experts like Guan Wenbao. Only Li Fan, whose martial arts was also based on the power of yang, was too powerful. His extreme yang and extreme yang techniques were able to restrain the soft yin techniques, thus breaking the long snake staff array. Don't hesitate, young Master Fong will reward anyone who can overturn this escort carriage with 1 million. The Fong family was indeed rich, overflowing with oil. It was easy to take out a bit of money to reward those who fought for him. As the saying goes, when there is a great reward, there will be brave men. Under the stimulation of the housekeeper's 1 million, those thugs who had retreated became excited again. One by one, they raised their eyebrows rods, and at least half of them charged towards Yan Kai. Individually, the strength of these 50 thugs was not that great. But when they grouped together, their strength was different. These people entangled Yan Kai, and with 10 people in a group, they attacked Yan Kai continuously. This Yan Kai and Guan Wenbao were entangled with over 100 thugs. If not for the long snake array, with their strength, they would have already beaten these people to the ground. Li Fan hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he still decided to help them. He stretched out his hand and threw out the extraordinary sword. The black extraordinary sword flew to the top of Li Fan's head and spun in the air, as if it was alive. Seeing this sword, the housekeeper was stunned for a moment. People of the Fong family, my apologies. Li Fan stretched out 2 fingers and pointed downwards. Over 100 sword shadows immediately descended from the sky, one for each person, and immediately shot towards those thugs. All the thugs were unable to react in time, and all of them had their right legs pierced by the sword shadows, and were nailed to the ground. The housekeeper was stunned. What kind of martial arts was this? He did not know that after Li Fan lost his arm once, his martial arts had already entered the realm of ancient martial arts. All of this was due to the influence of Murong Bo and imperial concubine Zhou. Their strength was deeply engraved into Li Fan's soul. Even Li Fan's strongest 7 brilliance fist had already become a thing of the past. His two strongest martial arts, one was Qilin Palm, and the other was Heavenly Sword Technique, which was the sword technique that he was currently using with his right hand. As the saying goes, one move, eat all over the world. With just these two moves, Li Fan was able to sweep the entire Jianghu. Seeing over 100 people instantly killed, and each of them hugging their legs and squatting on the ground screaming, the housekeeper swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Are you a human or a ghost? After thinking for a long time, he finally asked this question. He was really frightened. This man, what kind of martial arts did he use just now? Is this really martial arts? So many swords suddenly rained down from the sky. Could it be one of the 3 realms of martial arts, turning nothingness into reality? Li Fan kept extraordinary sword and looked at the housekeeper in front of him. Sir, you have no one else to use. Make way. The housekeeper thought for a long time until his calves and stomach cramped. This Li Fan is too scary. It's better to retreat for now. Just you wait. Our Fong family will remember this debt. The housekeeper threw down ruthless words and let over 100 people support each other as they walked away in a very sorry state. Only then did Yang Naicheng let out a sigh of relief. He stepped forward and cupped his hands towards Li Fan and the rest. Thank you, benefactors, I really have no way to repay you, no way to repay you. Wang Lei curled his lips. What do you have no way to repay? Just give us some money. You bunch of poor people, what's the use of just saying that you have no way to repay me? Huang Lei's words made Yang Naicheng's face turn red. Brother, you're right. I'll give my thanks to everyone right now. No need. Li Fan originally did not want to care about this matter. He only wanted to help Guan Wenbao, so Li Fan did not want this money. Now that things have come to this, it can be considered fate. Li Fan said, let us part here. We will meet again in the future if fate allows it. Just as he was instructing Huang Lei to drive the carriage away, the brides suddenly kneeled in front of the carriage and blocked them again. Benefactors, please wait. Chapter 798. Benefactors, please wait. The brides suddenly stopped them. Huang Lei quickly pulled on the reins. The horse raised its hooves and neighed. Guan Wenbao immediately picked up the bride and carried her to the side to avoid the horse's hooves. Are you all right? Guan Wenbao asked with concern. I'm fine. The bride shook her head. Although she was still panicking, she patted her chest and said firmly, benefactors, please wait. What else do you want? Li Fan asked. Benefactor, as the saying goes, help people to the end. The bride begged, there's still some distance to go, I'm afraid we can't reach Flying Flower Town. You little girl, I helped you and you still don't know your limits. Huang Lei immediately scolded, hurry up and do what you're supposed to do. Don't block the way, or I'll flatten your face. In Huang Lei's heart, beautiful women were not like the bride, so he could scold her mercilessly. Don't talk so much. Guan Wenbao frowned, she just wants to be with her Mr. Right. Motherfucker, old Guan, I thought you were a tough man, I didn't expect you to be so short-tempered. Have you forgotten who you are when you see a girl? Huang Lei scolded angrily. Guan Wenbao didn't say anything. He knew he was in the wrong, so he just silently protected the bride. Forget it. Li Fan stopped Huang Lei who was about to scold, how about this, old Guan, you protect the Yang family and head to Flying Flower Town. After we deliver the goods, we'll go back to you. How can I do that? Li Jun was unhappy, I'm paying for 3 people. The money for the 3 of you doesn't include the chief escort's personal payment. Li Fan's words silenced this guy with a few words. My money alone is worth 2 of theirs. Why don't you make up the difference? Forget it. Since you're here, it doesn't matter if they come or not. Li Jun's words made Yan Kai angry, the true qi in his body surged, causing his clothes to shake. Do you want to die? Yan Kai's every word was filled with terrifying energy, causing Li Jun to tremble. Forget it, time is of the essence. Li Fan comforted Yan Kai, get in the car, we should go. Sure. Yan Kai swallowed his anger and sat in the carriage, but he coldly looked at Li Jun, scaring Li Jun into sitting back, trying his best to keep a distance from Yan Kai. Is this okay? Li Fan asked the bride. Thank you. The bride was extremely excited and looked gratefully at Li Fan. Benefactor, this little girl is called Yang Shueyue. If you have any needs in the future, feel free to come find this little girl in Flying Flower Town. Got it. See you later. Li Fan let Huang Lei drive and left them. Yang Naicheng and the rest cupped their hands towards Li Fan to show their respect. The Luo Ma ancient road was long and wide, and Huang Lei drove very steadily. The group of people approached their destination, a small restaurant on the Luo Ma ancient road. We're here, we're here. When Li Jun arrived at the restaurant, he finally heaved a sigh of relief. Great, we arrived safely. My luck is really good. Li Jun walked towards the restaurant. Li Fan sat in the carriage and said, we've arrived at our destination. Our escort agency's mission is also over. Boss Li, let's have a pleasant cooperation. Li Jun coldly snorted, humph, there will be no more cooperation in the future. Extraordinary escort agency, Black Inn. Bad review. Li Fan shrugged his shoulders. He was also not willing to deliver his goods to this kind of person. Why don't we rob his things? Yan Kai could not help but mutter. Ha, forget it. It's not worthwhile to lower ourselves to the same level as this kind of person. Li Fan waved his hand and appeased Yan Kai, we should also go back. Guan Wenbao is still waiting for us. Wang Er, where are you? Li Jun shouted at the entrance of the restaurant. At this time, a sturdy chef walked out. His mouth was especially big, as if he was going to eat someone. Why the hell are you so late? The fatty called Wang Er had an anxious look on his face. Seeing Li Jun, he hurriedly came out to greet him. Wang Er, the things are in my hands. We can. Before Li Jun could finish his words, the fatty picked up the kitchen knife and swiped it across Li Jun's neck. Poor Li Jun. He worked so hard, but in the end, it was all in vain. Still holding his precious box, he directly kneeled on the ground. I'm sorry, old friend. Someone offered me a higher price, so I can't give this to you. Wang Er's face hung a sinister smile as he took the box. In this life, this brother has let you down. After you die, I will burn some paper money for you. I wish you a happy life in the underworld. Li Fan and Yan Kai did not know this scene. They had already driven the carriage far away. Wang Er looked at their backs and muttered, if it were not for these two coming out to cause trouble, I would not have been able to earn this money. No matter what, I still have to thank you, he. He took the things, took off his chef's apron, and rode a fast horse. He galloped all the way to an inn at the side. The inn seemed to have been booked. It was very quiet inside. There were no people. There were only two men in white uniforms standing there. Both of them had ghost masks on their faces. When they saw Wang Er coming in, they did not stop him. Wang Er tied the horse to the side and walked in with his head down. He went all the way into the inn and came to the third floor of the inn. Wang Er followed their agreement and walked into the room at the very end. A man wearing the mask of the King Yen Luo of Hell sat there. He sat cross-legged in front of the tea table and was slowly brewing a cup of hot tea. Boss, I've got it. Wang Er walked in and placed the box on the tea table. Then, he took the tea that the Yama mask man had just brewed and drank it in one gulp. I'm so thirsty after rushing all the way here. The tea has just been brewed, isn't it hot? The Yama mask man spoke in a middle-aged man's voice, very calm. Not afraid, I, Wang Er, like hot things the most, ha ha ha. Wang Er laughed non-stop, then rubbed his hands, boss, I've got the thing. Shouldn't we settle the balance? Of course, this is the rule of the pugilistic world. The Yama mask man nodded. Wang Er immediately smiled. But at this moment, his temple was suddenly pierced. A man in a suit put away the silencer pistol in his hand. Blood splashed on the tea tray. The Yama mask man sighed softly, "What a pity for this pot of good tea." The man in the suit half knelt down and opened the box. Inside was a small fridge. The fridge was emitting cold air, and there was an arm inside. The man in the suit took out some kind of instrument to test it. He nodded and then placed 10 bottles of medicine on the table. "Go back and help me send my regards to Mr. Sam." The Yama mask man said, "I won't send you off." Chapter 799. Li Fan and the others followed the ancient road and ran all the way to the Flying Flower Town. The ancient road was very quiet. When they came, it was noon, and now there was a bright red sunset. The sun seemed to have lost its energy and hung on the horizon. Even if one looked at it with the naked eye, they would not feel any pain. "I wonder how the girl Guan Wenbao is doing." In the car, Huang Lei was bored and could not help but mutter. "Him. Picking up girls." Yan Kai could not help but laugh out loud. "Stop messing around, with that blockhead of his. Not to mention, Yang Shueiyue is still a bride, and she wants to marry her Sailang." "That's not necessarily true. Our old Guan is also a flirtatious person, but we are flirtatious on the outside, while he is flirtatious on the inside." Huang Lei chuckled and defined Guan Wenbao just like that. Guan Wenbao had also suffered an undeserved calamity, and for no reason, he had been evaluated as a flirtatious person. "How nice, she's even a wife." Huang Lei laughed unscrupulously. "Awesome." The setting sun was like blood. The few of them chatted and laughed along the way, all using Guan Wenbao as a topic, ridiculing Guan Wenbao to the point of suffocation. When the sun set down the mountain, Li Fan and the others finally arrived at the Flying Flower Town. There were many legends about the Flying Flower Town, and some even said that there was a terrifying zombie king in the Flying Flower Town. However, these were all after-dinner topics. Li Fan and the others would not believe it. It was fine to just listen and laugh. Li Fan also did not know how Guan Wenbao and the others were doing. He reckoned that they had already sent the girl to her Sailang. During this period of time, the groom was probably drunk and had entered the bridal chamber with the bride. After picking up Guan Wenbao, they would return to a city. However, the entire Flying Flower Town was in a mess, and no one knew what was going on. From afar, they could see a manor with torches everywhere, as if there were a lot of people walking around. Li Fan and the others felt a little strange. Was there a need to light a torch during a wedding? Wasn't this the FFF team? Are we having a bonfire party? Huang Lei mumbled, "Old Guan is quite a playboy. Why isn't he out? Did he drink too much?" Yan Kai could not help but mutter. Li Fan could not help but speculate. Guan Wenbao was not the kind of person who coveted his own pleasure. According to his character, he should be waiting for him at the entrance of the town. There might be a trap. "Be careful," Li Fan ordered, but Huang Lei laughed out loud. "Aya, big brother, you're too careful." Huang Lei couldn't help laughing. Today is their big day, and old Guan is escorting them. How could anything happen to them? My guess is that old Guan was drowning his sorrows in alcohol when he saw a girl getting married. He's probably lying on the table snoring now. Speaking of which, when is Guan Wenbao getting married? Yan Kai asked unhurriedly. No one could tell what kind of emotional state he was in. Who knows? Aren't you happy that he's getting married? Huang Lei looked at Yan Kai with a question. Women are too troublesome. Yan Kai tidied his ponytail. It's still the happiest to be with a man. You're gay. Wrong. I know the true joy of life. There hasn't been a woman who could walk into my heart. Because some women are too retarded. That's because you don't understand the joy of women. Huang Lei could not help but lick his lips. I recently met a woman. Her figure, stop. Yan Kai quickly stopped Huang Lei to prevent him from saying any more disgusting words. This fellow only liked non-humans. Alright, stop arguing, you two. We're here. Li Fan and the rest followed Yang Shuiyue's instructions and arrived at Qin village in Flying Flower Town. The Qin clan manor was brightly lit at this moment, and it indeed looked very lively. These people follow the ancient rules. Could they be setting up a stage and performing a drama inside? Huang Lei guessed. That's possible. It depends on the Qin village's rules. Yan Kai sat in the carriage. He stuck his head out and looked outside. Huang Lei had already driven the carriage and entered Qin village through the main gate. Qin village wasn't as lively as they imagined. Many people were standing on both sides. After Li Fan and the rest entered, the main gate of Qin village was closed. Many servants were standing around with torches in their hands. Their gazes landed on them. Li Fan frowned slightly. What was the meaning of this? Two bonfires suddenly lit up in the surroundings, illuminating a person. Guan Wenbao was hung on a rack. His upper body was naked and covered with scars. Guan Wenbao had suffered a lot and was on the verge of death. Old Guan. Yan Kai was infuriated. He was prepared to save Guan Wenbao, but the surrounding servants suddenly took out their machetes and placed it on Guan Wenbao's neck. Li Fan pulled Yan Kai to prevent anything from happening to Guan Wenbao. He. It was unknown when a young man stood beside Guan Wenbao. Yang Shuiyue was leaning in his arms. She was tied up tightly and her mouth was gagged. Her eyes were red and she was crying like a pear blossom in the rain. She shook her head vigorously at Li Fan and the rest. You must be Fang Long, young Master Fang. Li Fan was burning with anger, but he still maintained a calm expression. We finally meet. It's an honor. Little tyrant, right? I heard that you are very awesome. Young Master Fang looked like a gigolo. His face was filled with disdain. He looked at Li Fan as though he was looking at a pile of trash. Aren't you very awesome? You even dared to hit my housekeeper. Come on, show me how awesome you are again. As he spoke, he held a short knife in his hand and pressed it on Guan Wenbao's neck. Come on, show me how arrogant you are again. Young Master Fang looked at Li Fan with a smile. Guan Wenbao opened his eyes and said slowly. Benefactor, don't worry about me. Do it. Guan Wenbao's words really made young Master Fang nervous. However, Li Fan slowly stood up and said to Guan Wenbao, we are brothers in this world. I, Li Fan, will never sacrifice my brother to live. Good, you're loyal. Young Master Fang clapped his hands. That's right. As expected of the little tyrant. Since you care about your brothers so much, we'll have fun next. He waved his hand and the housekeeper came over with a chair. Young Master Fang sat on it and looked at Li Fan with a smile. I say, little tyrant, you're quite awesome. On this ancient Luo road, you don't even put my Fang clan in your eyes. I heard that you and Murong were at odds, but I didn't believe it. Today, I realized that you're really an idiot. On the ancient Luo road, you even dare to provoke my Fang clan. So what if I provoke you? Li Fan's temper flared up. He stood on the carriage with his hands behind his back and looked at Fang Long on the opposite platform. If you provoke me, you must pay the price. Chapter 800. Fang Long's hand touched Yang Shuiyue's chest as he looked at Li Fan with a smile. Do you see, your brother is in my hands, and I will also take this girl. Li Fan, even if you have a bit of reputation in the martial arts world, but in my Luo Ma ancient road, even if you are a tiger, you have to lie down, even if you are a dragon, you have to coil up. What's more, you are not a dragon or a tiger, but a small character who has just gained a bit of fame. As Fang Long spoke, he stretched out his pinky finger and drew a stroke. But Guan Wenbao suddenly opened his mouth and bit his finger, forcibly breaking this young Master Fang's pinky finger. Young Master Fang screamed like a pig being slaughtered in pain. Guan Wenbao, on the other hand, opened his bloody mouth and laughed loudly. Kill them. Immediately kill them. Fong Long was no longer in the mood to play, he only wanted to kill. His own finger. Nothing could compare to one of his precious fingers. He wanted these bastards to be buried together with his finger. More than 10 servants pulled out their knives and slashed at Guan Wenbao. However, Li Fan stretched out his right hand, and with a pull of his true energy, the padao in the hands of the servant, who was almost tens of meters away, immediately flew up, and was forcibly pulled in front of him by Li Fan's true energy. Dang 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 dang, the padao was chopped into the ground, forming a row. This was Li Fan's strength, it was not something that these servants could deal with. Li Fan stretched out his right hand and lifted it up. Some of the servants, who were about to attack Guan Wenbao, seemed to be unable to control their own arms. They watched helplessly as the padaos in their right hand were placed on their throats. Without waiting for them to struggle, Li Fan waved his finger and the padaos shook, and these people's throats were slit. Looking at the servants lying in a pool of blood, Fong Long's eyes widened. What kind of martial arts was this that could directly control the other party? This was simply incredible. What kind of martial arts was this? Could it be the legendary Genie Guard's minor phaseless divine art? Fong Long was dumbfounded and didn't know what to do. Old Guan, your Taoist grandpa is here. Yan Kai descended from the sky and landed beside Guan Wenbao. Several servants were preparing to attack Yan Kai from both sides, but Yan Kai activated his Tai Chi skill. With a shake of his arms, the servants on both sides started fighting each other, causing their heads to bleed. He kicked the padao that was stuck in the ground. The padao immediately flew up and cut the rope that was binding Guan Wenbao. Guan Wenbao landed on the ground. Yan Kai kicked a padao over and it landed in his hand. Thanks. Guan Wenbao carried his padao and walked towards Fong Long. Quick, protect this young master. Fong Long was so scared that he almost peed his pants. He hurriedly shouted at the servant beside him. The servants didn't dare to delay and hurriedly rushed forward with their padaos. However, Guan Wenbao suddenly shouted. His voice was like a wave, crashing out. The surrounding servants were affected by the sound wave and all stopped moving. Their ears were ringing and their bodies were numb. Guan Wenbao took the opportunity to step forward and cut off the heads of the 3 servants one by one. He was bathed in blood as if he was a god of war that crawled out from hell. Since when were there cowards in the Guan family? If he didn't drink a cup of wine and was drugged by Fong Long, Guan Wenbao wouldn't have been captured and Yang Shuiyue's Shiro wouldn't have been beaten to death. Guan Wenbao hated himself. He hated himself for underestimating the Jianghu. The Fong family had actually controlled Flying Flower Town and were just waiting for them to fall into their trap. He personally sent Yang Shuiyue into the tiger's mouth. Guan Wenbao hated himself even more. Ah! Guan Wenbao's eyes turned red. He was filled with rage. He carried his padao and killed his way into the group of servants. He killed them quickly and with each slash, heads flew. Damn, so fierce, Yan Kai couldn't help but be shocked. Although Guan Wenbao's martial arts were fierce, he had never been so ruthless. In the past, Guan Wenbao was brave and righteous. But today, Guan Wenbao was ferocious and fierce. They watched as he forcefully split a servant into 2 halves with a padao that already had a hole in it. There were 2 servants next to him. He waved his saber horizontally, as if he was sweeping away 1,000 soldiers, and cut the 2 servants in half at the waist. Their intestines flew out and scattered on the ground. Fong Long was so scared that he peed. He felt that he had offended a devil. Everyone said that Fifan Escort Agency was a group of devils and shouldn't be provoked. Fong Long didn't believe it before, but he finally saw it for himself today. Especially that Li Fan. He stunned everyone with one move and now he stood there with his hands behind his back with an indifferent face. Li Fan wasn't indifferent. He just wasn't interested in these people. They were too weak and couldn't be compared to him. His realm was already above them. His enemy was Murong Bo and Imperial concubine Zhou, a grandmaster. Li Fan looked around. Although there were many people in the Fang family, none of them were experts. But at this moment, a servant rushed over and reported the good news to Fang Long. Young master, young master. Lord Tu is back. Tuda. He's finally back. Hearing the servant's report, Fang Long suddenly became excited. With Tuda here, you bastards will all die. Tuda. Li Fan recalled this name. He seemed to have heard it somewhere. Yan Kai had returned to Li Fan's side. Seeing the doubt on his face, he explained, Tuda used to be a disciple of Shaolin. His Tan Tui Kung Fu is good. Later, he fell in love with a female benefactor who often came to offer incense and raped her. Later, with his powerful Tan Tui Kung Fu, he kicked her out of Shaolin and escaped. So it's this kind of pervert. He has the same rotten taste as Fang Long. Li Fan nodded. Seems like this guy defected to the Fang family and became Fang Long's fighter. But why did you come back? Fuck, old Guan's eyes were red from killing. I couldn't snatch his head. Yan Kai said angrily, this guy is too ferocious, as if he's on drugs. Li Fan looked over. Guan Wenbao's eyes were red and his body was covered in blood. The servants were crying and the corpses were everywhere. Who dares to bully my young master? At this moment, a loud shout came from the sky. Following that, a figure appeared under the moonlight. He descended from the sky and kicked at Guan Wenbao. Guan Wenbao raised his padao and held it horizontally in front of him to block. Dang, dang. That person forcefully turned his body and kicked out twice in a row. He kicked the padao, breaking the blade of the blade in half. The other kick landed on Guan Wenbao's shoulder and sent Guan Wenbao flying. He slid for 3 to 4 meters in the air and slowly landed on the ground. He stabbed the broken padao into the ground and barely stabilized his body. A bald man stood there, wearing a yellow sweatshirt. His small eyes were pitifully small, like the size of a grain of rice, but he was staring at Guan Wenbao. Who is it? Report your name. I, Tuda, do not kill nameless people. Chapter 801. Ever since Tuda left Shaolin, he did not delay his training. He knew that in the pugilistic world, especially as a hired thug for the Fang family, if he did not have any ability, he would be kicked out of the door by the Fang family sooner or later. Thus, Tuda had been practicing his Tan Tui Kung Fu and improved it according to his own ideas. He changed his Tan Tui Kung Fu to bullet leg. Because his Tan Tui Kung Fu was getting faster and faster, even faster than the wind. He wanted to be faster, even faster than a bullet. In the end, after hard training, he finally got what he wanted. Tuda sent Guan Wenbao flying with a kick, causing young Master Fang to clap his hands and laugh. Good, good, good. That's great. Tuda, you're good. Quickly kick that guy's dog head. With a backer, Fang Long laughed loudly, a change from his previous frightened look. Don't worry, young master, leave it to me. Tuda wanted to show off in front of his young master. Kill a few of them. For 1, I'll give you 1 million. For 3, I'll give you 5 million. Fang Long's gaze suddenly landed on Huang Lei, then he curled his lips. Kill that one, I'll give you 50,000. Fuck your grandma. Huang Lei immediately cursed, why am I only worth 50,000? Calm down, it's not like this is a good thing. Yan Kai persuaded Huang Lei. Huang Lei calmed down, fine, what you said is reasonable. That's right. Furthermore, you're not worth 50,000. Fuck your grandma. Huang Lei and Yan Kai started bickering, while Guan Wenbao and Tuda also fought to the death. Tuda, fuck them. Then I'll enjoy the Yang family's girl. Fang Long licked his lips as his eyes flashed with lascivious light. Tuda glanced at the crying Yang Shueyue and had lustful thoughts, but he suppressed it. The woman that young master fancied, he could not touch. As long as he had money, he could get any woman he wanted. Tuda glanced at Guan Wenbao in front of him and asked again. State your name. I, Tuda, do not kill nameless people. Guan 1. Treasure. Guan Wenbao was too lazy to say anything else. He picked up another pedao and jumped towards Tuda, slashing at his head. But Tuda sneered, turned around, and kicked out. With a clang, the pedao was kicked into two. The tip of the blade flew out and nailed into a nearby tree. It penetrated deeply and disappeared. All right. Fong Long clapped his hands and laughed heartily. Tuda sneered, Guan Wenbao, the Guan family is just so. Guan Wenbao's eyes flashed with anger, but Li Fan stretched out his hand, picked up a crescent moon blade from the carriage, and threw it to Guan Wenbao. Guan Wenbao's Yenhua blade was custom-made, so he always prepared extra supplies. Fong Long had already taken the crescent blade from before. After all, using a pedao was not convenient. Looking at the crescent moon blade, Tuda frowned. With a leap, he leaped into the air and kicked at the crescent blade, preparing to send it flying with a kick. But the crescent moon blade suddenly exploded with powerful chi, directly hitting Tuda's leg. Tuda was shocked. His calves trembled and he was sent flying. He flipped in the air and landed on the ground. Tuda was so shocked that he was speechless. This crescent moon blade actually contained such a powerful inner strength? Who was the one who threw the blade? The inner strength was actually so powerful. If the other party was an old man or a middle-aged martial artist, he would believe it. But the other party was a youth. Guan Wenbao. Guan Wenbao. Could that person be the little tyrant, Li Fan? Tuda began to calculate in his heart. This little tyrant was a famous name in the pugilistic world. Seeing him today, it was indeed a well-deserved reputation. He had to first defeat this Guan Wenbao and then find an opportunity to take the young master away. Tuda was confident that he could defeat Guan Wenbao, but he did not have the confidence to face Li Fan. The key was that Li Fan was not only skilled in martial arts, but he was also smart. He had actually predicted that he would kick the crescent moon blade away. If he had calculated wrongly, the true chi would have exploded in Guan Wenbao's hand. At that time, Guan Wenbao might not even be able to keep his hand. At this moment, Guan Wenbao had already caught the crescent moon blade. He did not give Tuda a chance to think and had already fiercely slashed down with the blade. Scarlet-red flames wrapped around the large blade, bringing with it an air current as it descended from above Tuda's head. A gigantic flaming blade suddenly appeared in the air and slashed down. Tuda frowned. He did not retreat but advanced instead, suddenly appearing in front of Guan Wenbao. At the same time, he kicked at an even faster speed towards Guan Wenbao's face. This kick was really like a bullet as it kicked towards Guan Wenbao's forehead. However, Guan Wenbao did not have the slightest intention of stopping. He was like a ferocious tiger that had just been released from its cage. He did not care about anything and ruthlessly slashed down with the blade. Tuda was terrified. Even if he kicked Guan Wenbao to death, half of his body would still be chopped off. He stomped on the ground and retreated more than 10 meters away, forcefully dodging the blade. Bang! The ground was blasted open. There were still blazing flames burning in the ravine, but they were slowly extinguished. Where Tuda was just standing, a towering ancient tree was directly chopped in half. The flames burned the tree trunk. Tuda wiped off his cold sweat as he looked at the ancient tree that was chopped in half. He was a little speechless. Motherfucker, what kind of strength was this? This blade could actually split flames. How terrifying was Guan Wenbao's blade technique? If this blade had landed on his body, he would probably have become a charred corpse. He had indeed underestimated Guan Wenbao just now. This man's strength was not to be underestimated. Meanwhile, Guan Wenbao raised his crimson crescent moon blade again. The flames seemed to have spread to his body, burning fiercely. This Guan Wenbao was like a death knight from hell. He was holding the crescent moon blade, and Tuda did not dare to go near him. Come, old Guan. Ride it for a while. Li Fan untied the reins and chased the horse over. Although it was not his Lisa, it would be different when Guan Wenbao was riding it. Guan Wenbao flipped onto the horse and raised its front hooves. This obedient horse that was pulling the carriage burst out with a bit of wildness. At the same time, Guan Wenbao waved his treasured blade. Flames swept out and slashed towards Tuda. Tuda was shocked. This time, the power of the blade was much stronger. He quickly retreated and leaped more than 10 meters away. He stabilized his body and re-evaluated Li Fan. Tuda, what are you doing? Go and kill him. Fong Long was still shouting, but Tuda wasn't in the mood. After Guan Wenbao got on the horse, he was completely different from before. His combat strength had almost doubled. He was a war god on a horse. Young master, let's go, Tuda said. Damn you. Why did I raise you? Why are you so afraid? Where's your bullet leg? Kick him. Fong Long could not help but curse.